It is. Okay, it is, you ready?
6 o'clock?
It is 6:01 on Tuesday, January 28th, and this is a meeting of the Madison Advisory Budget Committee. In attendance is
Ron Force?
Sharon Schilling,
Joe Dan?
Sarah DiMartino.
and we do have a member, Rick Judkins, who will be trying to join us remotely in a little bit, and then Joy Gray, the selectman's rep, is on her way. She will be here probably in about 10 minutes. So, other than that, can we say the Pledge of Allegiance? Ready?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Did you bring them?
Yeah, it saves my time.
I bet. I want to move item 3 and 4 so that we can just get the minutes approved, and then we'll talk about public comment and the rest of the items, okay? Does anybody have an issue with that? No? All right, Ron, you had a change or a correction?
Correction, yes, on the minutes. And I already spoke with Sharon Schilling, and she concurred. Under Article 4, in regard to the CBA, the minutes reflect that I was in the yay and that Sharon Schilling was abstained, just the opposite. I abstained and Sharon Schilling said yay. So we're just going to switch those two names.
On Article 4, you said?
On Article 4,
Article
correct,
4.
yep.
This is. Anyone have any other comments?
So is it for the same reason, Ron, that you didn't have enough information?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
And we'll talk about that later in regard to last night's meeting.
Is that when you're going to talk about the school's warrant articles, or are you gonna do it at the deliberative session, Ron?
What's that?
I said, are you going to talk about them here tonight or at the deliberative?
We're just going to summarize what happened at last night's meeting,
Okay.
because I said it for Sharon.
What's that?
I sat in the meeting last night for Sharon.
Or
so-
yourself, right? You were there, right?
Yes. But I sat in for
Just a thought,
Sure.
should we elevate Ron before you fill in the minutes?
that's not required by the ordinance. I looked that up. That's not required.
Okay.
Okay.
Which ordinance?
What's that?
Which ordinance?
The ordinance in regard to the budget committee.
Oh, remember, yeah,
And by the way, that's not posted on the town website. I looked for it, and all the ordinance is there, but the budget ordinance is not,
Wouldn't, okay, I'll check.
so.
yeah, I was looking to see too, can we send, while we're talking about the ordinance, can you send the last version, because we changed it, we voted to change it at the town meeting last year. We changed when we appoint somebody, when I appoint somebody to a term, to an empty spot, they only serve till the end of that year, and then they have to, just like the selectmen, then they have to run for the position. Originally, it used to be they would serve for the rest of the term. I just want to make sure everybody has the most recent copy. We probably should have done that. We may have, but
Did you check on the budget, the ABC page itself?
I mean, the ABC page.
On the website, there's an advisory budget page. I have a feeling I put it up there.
Because you have a list of regulations on
I
your website.
do,
And it
right.
has all the ordinances for all the different, but the,
Right, it doesn't contain all our ordinances, but I want to say that, I think it's under the ABC page, but I can move it.
okay, thank you.
or at least have it in both places.
Right, but good to have a hard copy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, what is she saying? Be there in 5-ish. That's Joy. Okay. Anything else with the minutes? Yes, no, maybe, going once, going twice?
I'll make a motion to approve as amended.
Thank you.
Second?
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, force motion. So those are approved. Motion Dave second. Minutes. Approved. Okay. Public comment. Is there anyone who wants to make a public comment? No?
Try to look it up quick, but I'm not good at it.
Okay, interesting. I would have thought that there'd be public comment. So do we want to, how about if we move 9, which is the SAU 13 draft budget, up to this part, up to now? I can take everything in whatever order we need to do. Here's the other thing is, we went till 10 o'clock last time. Let's talk about that. Nobody here wants to be here till 10 o'clock at night. That's crazy, okay? We did it, but I don't really want to do that again.
Yay.
So right? Sarah's like, thank you.
I know, I'm up at like 4, have 3 children, do all the things.
Right.
Anyways,
And
continue.
Right. And you had come from skiing last time, I think, too.
Today,
so-
too.
Oh, yeah. No wonder your face is red. So I would like to, no matter where we are in this agenda, and that's why I'm trying to move some things forward, no matter where we are in the agenda, call this meeting at 8:30. If there is something that is significant that was still on the agenda, then we can make a motion and request and look to see if there's a time when we can have another meeting. I thought, Linda, if you could verify for me, I thought we had a meeting on the books for February 4th.
Selectmen meet that night. The selectmen meet that night.
The selectmen meet that night.
That's next Tuesday.
Oh, that's, yeah, that is. And then the 11th is the
Budget hearing.
public meeting. Wow,
So you might be here all the time.
no, we're not gonna be here till 10.
No, we're not gonna be,
I don't know that we need to make a motion and vote on that, but
no.
we're not gonna be here till 10.
Thank you.
All right, so then let's move on
Move on.
quickly.
Yep.
So talk to me, Ron attended the SAU and Madison, it was actually the Madison School Board meeting last night. I had company, I wasn't able to attend, so I did get a little bit of feedback from Heather this morning about some things, but I'd like you to do a brief synopsis on how that went last night.
Okay, all righty. These are just brief notes that I was taking. I did a lot of listening and very little talking last night. They had a special meeting to address the concerns that were brought up at the public hearing on January 6th for the school board, and also with the ABC when we voted on the warrant articles for the school. There was a number of concerns brought up. They had a special meeting just to address those concerns, which I gave them credit for. I mean, that was very nice of them to do that. And we had probably roughly a 2.5 hour meeting, and they addressed everything that we talked about. And I'll just quickly highlight just some bullet statements. The insurance premiums, it's going to remain an 89-11% split for the coming year. And so they revalidated that particular
And that's
payment plan.
right, and that's because we'd already, signed it in for the CBA, so that's,
I
Right.
that's the way
thought the
that goes.
CBA moved it to 88 and 12.
It was 80, no.
It was 89 and 11.
It was,
And they moved it to 88 and 12.
you're right, Sharon, yep, so that's what it is.
So it should be 88 and 12.
Well, what they said though last night,
That's not what they said.
Let me look in here really quick.
yeah, it was 89-11, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cause it was
It was 90-10 before, if I'm correct.
Only for certain,
hold on, you continue on, Ron, I'll look.
Yeah,
at
okay,
that
which
really
is fine,
quickly.
okay. And there was,
did they give a reason why it's staying 89 and 11?
that I'm gonna defer
Because
to
it was
Sarah.
already, had already signed it and had already gone through for the CBA.
Is it because it's still under the old contract and this one, this new negotiated contract doesn't come into effect
Correct,
until
that's
next?
that's what,
So, yes, ma'am.
I just
You
wanna
got
say.
your name, please.
Oh, I'm sorry, Linda Haber, and I was there last night as well. And I was an employee for the school forever and another district as well. The way CBAs usually work, is you have a term, you negotiate for an amount of time. Either it's a 1 year or a 3 year.
Ours is
Everybody wants
3.
to do a 3 year because then you don't have to do it again.
Right.
So, if you approve whatever the insurance is, basically, you're gonna be locked into that for the 3 years of that contract.
Right, I understand that.
Okay.
So that's
But
what,
we're,
thank you.
that's what this new contract would begin with next school year.
Correct.
And therefore, it was 8812. I don't understand why the budget doesn't reflect 8812 as opposed to 8911, which is what it currently is.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, they specifically said 8911 last night, so.
Okay, Sarah, can you do me a favor and go back and find out why?
Yes, I'm gonna do it right now.
Yeah,
Thank you.
okay.
Go ahead,
And-
continue
and
on.
in the meantime, I'll press on. And a concern was brought up at prior meetings as well in regard to the amount of staff at the grades 5 and 6 level. And the principal,
It's 88.
Heather, basically said they had at least 2, if not 3, if I heard it correctly.
Correct.
Last night, additional students added onto those classes, and therefore they felt justified at this point to keep the existing current staff levels. So there was no change, the bottom line there was no changes in any of the paras, no changes in any of the staff for the coming year, okay?
Except for that one position that they didn't cost in because they haven't filled it. That half, it was a
yes.
half a position.
So it is 88, Sharon.
It's going to 8812, not 8911. But if they, yeah.
I'm
okay,
surprised
so-
that it wasn't,
Yeah, because it says, town of Madison will pay 88 of a single two-person. But, so,
But-
maybe they misspoke last
They
night.
must have,
Or,
because,
right,
yeah,
right.
that's what they said
Okay.
last night.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay,
And what was I gonna,
cost per student, Dr. Whalen said that that's forthcoming, and it might even be in the booklet that's about to be printed. Matter of fact, I think I've heard it's already online, or very close to being online. It's gotta be published between now and next Monday, because that's when the meeting is. So, that's forthcoming.
here we go.
Um,
So if they,
We've already talked about staff. Now, the one thing that the chairman said, Chairman Curran said, which is true, and I've read it in the paper as well, on my son, that the state support that we're getting in the past, the dollar revenue we get from the state, is gonna go down for us and many towns in the state. There were a number of factors. So when the revenue goes down from the state to our district, and we have a set budget, guess what happens to the taxpayer? They make up the difference. So, just a forewarning that future years are probably going to be an increase in taxes. Even if the school budget stays the same for next year, hypothetically, if the state revenue back to the district decreases, the taxpayer's gonna have to make up that difference.
did they,
If the budget's approved.
did they indicate why the state support is being reduced?
I can
His
make it.
name is
yeah.
Edelbud.
I'm sorry?
His name is Edelbud.
I made this comment last night, the state support is still our money, it still comes out of our pockets, they
I-
don't grow
I
the
get that.
money.
Right.
But they, if you look, there's a website you can look up and it'll say state dollars per town, that when you pay your tax bill, how much goes to the state,
Right.
the county, the school, and the municipal budget. So, it doesn't, it's more about the spending than where the money's coming from, cause it is all coming out of our pocket, whether it's federal, state, or local.
Yes, but even that money is not coming back necessarily at 100%. So.
Oh, I understand,
Yeah,
that's,
right,
they misspent
right.
all
So-
over.
So,
I don't know
I
why
guess
people like the government to
what
do
I
it.
was wondering is whether or not the state indicated that they don't have the resources that they normally have, they don't have the budget money in the budget has gone down.
Quite frankly, that's a question for DOE.
Well,
I-
yes, I
right,
didn't
so
know if they.
There's a lot of assumptions that we could make that they're giving the money to, like, sending the kids to
Right.
other schools or, whatever.
right.
There's a lot of assumptions to make with
Again,
that,
all I was
right.
looking for was what, if anything, was said about it last
Yeah.
night.
But
that's all.
it
Just
is.
so there's
None of
nothing.
that.
All we're
Right.
saying is, it's extremely likely that the state support
Support
will
will-
be reduced in
yep.
future years.
User
And
support.
that's something we have to keep in our minds as we move forward. They talked a little bit about SB2, and I think for good reason, the school board decided not to vote. Actually, they voted not to vote on that particular warrant article. They say they leave it up to the voters, which I think was a smart move. And however, they're going to have a special SB2 hearing on February 11th at 6 p.m. No, just a minute, I'm gonna explain. At 6 p.m. at the school. I specifically told them that the selectmen have a meeting at 7 o'clock at the school for their public hearing. They said this will dovetail nicely and they will not interfere with that meeting. So they have it at 6 o'clock at the school, a hearing in the auditorium for the SB2, followed the next hour by the selectmen's public
I
hearing.
thought the reason we weren't having our meeting at 6 p.m. is because there was something else going on in the auditorium.
Well, now there is.
Now
No,
there's,
it's always at 7.
is it?
The budget hearing's always at 7.
Yeah.
I did reserve the building at 6 though, so that they could come in and
We can
set
go
up
to the
things.
library.
But I'm sure it will be televised anyway, so the.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah,
The
it'll be
TV
set.
and
people
they'll
will be getting theirs.
They'll have it all
Right.
set up.
Right.
So if anybody wants to know more about SB2 and
Yeah.
hear both sides, because realistically, after
6
serving on the budget committee for 9 years, they both have advantages and disadvantages.
Mm-hmm.
So you really have to really think it out, do your homework, and come as an informed voter.
We're gonna talk a little bit about it there. I did some research for you, Donna, so.
Okay.
And the last thing I have is that the school board voted officially on their warrant articles. And to probably no one's big surprise, they all passed with a majority. Jim Curran and I believe one other member on the board abstained because they had a spouse working in the school when they voted on Article 4 on the CBA, which was appropriate.
Add the wording to the other.
I'm sorry?
We added the wording to the
The
other.
wording.
And I've gotten there yet.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, okay, but you're right.
I know.
Okay. And the last thing I have is in that warrant article package from the school, we talked about this at one of our meetings, and that is, there's a wording in the article that says that this particular article will not require any money from taxation. And I'm saying, time out, that's not a true statement. So last night, they added the word additional taxation in that warrant Article 5 and warrant Article 7. So the school board officially voted with that amendment, assuming that it's legally possible to do that, and they're gonna get legal counsel to verify. But that's how they voted, so I give them credit for listening and saying that yes, no additional taxation, and we approve it in that format. And that's a quick summary.
Okay.
Sarah, did I miss anything?
Nope, but a good point, I guess, is if it doesn't pass, then the insurance wouldn't be the 8812, right?
Does it go back to, it would
It
go
just goes back to
the-
what it was, correct?
I don't know, I would have to talk to Dr. Whalen about that, because I believe the CBA increases are already in the budget, and he told me they were in the default budget, so I would presume that because the default budget is anything from last year plus any other prior agreed negotiated agreements. And so because that 8812 is in that negotiated agreement, which has been approved, right, the negotiated agreement's been approved and voted on, so those numbers have to go into the default budget, because we are under contract, so to speak, to pay what's in that negotiated agreement.
And if the CBA doesn't pass, then it
The
goes back to the.
CBA did pass though.
Right, but it has to, goes before the townspeople to vote on those numbers, and if that does not pass, then it goes to the default.
It's just those increases. which predominantly, I sent everyone, or I sent to Linda, and I'm gotta check to see if it's in the package. The explanation, yeah,
I put whatever you sent me.
right. I sent you a lot, so whatever those increases are, or the explanation for what those increases, a better explanation for what those increases were. And I have to look to see.
I believe, I don't know, it was a while ago, but sometimes our negotiated agreement that the school and the school board agreed to did not pass at school meeting. And everything just stayed status quo. You go right back to negotiations and you get them done as quickly as possible to get that new one done. I think that's how it's happened in the past. I may be wrong.
Okay, well, I can double check that with Dr. Whalen, so, hi.
Hi,
Can you have the
apologies.
minutes reflect that she arrived at?
Yep.
Thank you.
Screeching in on two wheels.
Sure. Right,
You're here.
right, you're here.
Apologies for being late.
It's okay, catch you up quickly, we're gonna take some stuff out of order. We are going to stop at 8:30.
Okay.
I'm not gonna be here till 10 o'clock at night again. That's
I won't argue.
kinda crazy. So if I seem like I'm rushing you, it's because I wanna try and get through as much as we possibly can.
I
I'm
love
not
that.
trying to cut you short, I'm not trying to cut anybody's opinions off. I just wanna be able to get through as much of this as we can with good amount of information and understanding. Okay, so one of the questions that had been asked of me from Heather Woodard was whether or not we were going to re-vote on the warrant articles. I think that's up for discussion. I don't know if any of you feel that it's necessary, now that you have the additional information, that you want to re-vote. And then the next question is, if we do you want to do it tonight? And is there only maybe a particular article we want to do? I don't know if we have to do all of them. And/or, do we wanna then not do it tonight and wait until the public meeting on February 11th? Pros and cons that I'm aware of. The pro of doing it tonight is that it gets into Heather's synopsis, her report. I would email her tomorrow morning and tell her what we decided and what, if we take a new vote, what the new vote was, so that she could update the, the report that I sent to her for inclusion in the school report. She would need it tomorrow.
There's only 3 that had abstentions, waiting for more information.
True. I understand that,
Okay, no, just putting, I wasn't sure if everybody understood that.
yeah. Yes,
My personal opinion is the deliberative session is a great place to gather a tremendous amount of information, tremendous amount of input. I would prefer not to vote tonight and vote after I hear what is on the floor at the deliberative meeting. I know it's, but I think more information is better, in my opinion. So I'd like to wait till after the deliberative.
and that's February 3rd?
That's this coming Monday night.
February 3rd.
Yeah.
Another night. These Monday night things are killing me. I'm
So I wasn't able to attend last night's meeting.
Oh, you missed the synopsis.
I just gave a quick synopsis.
So you still had outstanding questions
But
even after last
but it's on
night's meeting?
video.
There you go. So was the whole meeting, but thank you for the synopsis. So last night didn't.
It didn't change anything.
Okay, just checking.
There were a couple of minor changes to the wording in
Yeah.
2 articles.
Okay.
But no, it didn't really change a lot.
Okay, all right, just wanted to check.
Just so you know, Article 5 and 7, where it said no funds, no amount to be raised from taxation, they amended it to read no amount to be raised from additional taxation. Since all the money they get is from taxation anyway,
Yeah.
unless they're out doing fundraising, but it's tax, they wanna make sure it's kind of very clear that there'll be no additional
We added the word
tax.
additional, pending legal approval.
Yeah.
We don't know if that's legal yet, but
Okay.
pending legal approval.
But all the amounts stayed the same, there was no amendment to any of the dollar figures. So and then all of them were approved by the school board. Does anybody have any additional questions? So would need to take a vote as to what we wanna do regarding a revote. The options are no revote, let it stand the way it is, because that's what it was when we had the information and, you know, our official vote date. Entertain a new vote and do it tonight, or entertain a new vote and do it at the deliberative session?
Traditionally, my 9 years on Budget Committee is we leave ourselves the option of voting on the deliberative night if need be. Because if something is changed on the floor,
Right,
we have every right to revote.
absolutely.
And if that's the case, we definitely ought to prepare ourselves for voting that night, to revote that night.
Well, I think we should just, I personally think we should just prepare ourselves to revote that night, no matter what. We should be prepared.
I agree. That's
Yeah.
right. Be prepared.
Yes?
We may not have to, but we may. So,
Anyone have a differing opinion? No. No? All right, so then we'll just be prepared to revote if necessary. And I'll let Heather know in the morning that, or tonight, yes, ma'am?
So does the vote that you took the other night, is that
Stand.
what gets
Still holds,
printed in the
yeah.
book?
Yes. With the abstentions.
Right.
The only thing that would have changed would be the abstentions would either be yea or
Right,
nay.
yeah.
but also keep in mind too, that the information in that book could change as a result of that meeting as well. Not just our vote, but there could be something from the floor that's amended. And so that's already in the book, and even that changes. So the information and our vote could change that night.
No,
Potentially.
I understand that. I just know how much people count on that book and your recommendations for their vote.
The key is to come to that meeting. That is.
I'm here, I
No,
understand.
no, I know, but that February 3rd meeting is crucial. Yeah.
February 3rd meeting. So, what, the February 3rd meeting is at what, 6 o'clock or 6 o'clock? 6 p.m.? February 3rd is Monday, that Monday?
I believe it's 7. I thought it was
Well, I
7.
know our February 11th meeting is at 7.
Are you looking,
6 o'clock,
the school
but the
calendar?
deliberative is at
Mm-hmm.
7.
So, okay.
That's what I thought, yeah.
All right,
So the
we'll
school
do-
board meeting's at 6, but the deliberative is at 7.
Yeah.
All right, so I may be able to make it. I am driving back from New York that day, so.
And that is in, at the school, in
At
the
the
cafeteria.
In the
gym,
auditorium.
In the auditorium.
yeah.
Which is the
Okay.
cafeteria.
Cafeteria
And the
gym,
stage
and
and
the
the
stage,
gym.
yeah. The big room.
It's the all-purpose room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else on that? Then we can move on. Number 9 is done. I think our budget piece can wait. I wanna take a look at the final drawdown with the detailed reports and detailed reports from the town. Linda, in a snapshot, how did we end up? I mean, I know there's still things that are gonna impact the bottom line, but
Shouldn't anymore. I paid everything.
did you got everything paid?
Yep, that's gonna get paid out of 24. We closed, the last time we paid bills was the last chance.
Okay.
So where is the balance? Linda, do we have any
Page
balance?
14.
I'm sorry,
On this.
okay, very good, thank
Okay,
you.
we're looking at this,
Okay, you're looking at the summary sheet.
this.
Okay.
We could go to page 14, which is the end.
So we were at 90 a couple of weeks ago with a select board meeting. I know we added 12 in
Are we talking about last year or this year?
this year, the 2025
Oh,
budget.
yeah.
Sorry. So a couple weeks ago, we were at dollar change for the end of the year from 2024 to 2025 was at 90. We did add 12 in for an office assistant, very necessary position. And then do you know where the other?
It was a little bit that Chief Hayford asked for.
Okay.
That was like maybe $1,800. And then I had to add another $920 to anticipate FICA for the office assistant.
Okay, you're talking about the 2025 budget.
I'm talking about the addition, the amount that is new to the 2025 budget.
I'm
and
not
deltas
even
from
on the
last year.
2025 budget yet.
Oh.
I'm looking at the end
Got
of
it.
2024 and where we ended up.
Okay.
I'm
Got
thinking,
it.
what is she talking about?
We went to
What is-
page 14, that's what jumped out to me on page 14.
Yeah, and 14, I see a 95% expenditure, 95.1.
Mhm.
With 165, 314 left over.
Correct. You
Okay.
also, we also, the selectmen, not we, the selectmen encumbered $83,000 out of that 165. There was repairs to one of the fire trucks. There was a monitor for.
The defibrillator?
Is that what it was, a defibrillator?
Part of that was paid with ARPA, I think, and then part was the encumbrance, or
Yep.
I haven't seen.
And there was one, oh, the floors upstairs. Redo the tile upstairs.
So it's gonna leave us with about 82,000 at the end of the year.
In reality, yes. It's not gonna reflect
Right.
in anything, but that's, yes.
And that goes into the unreserved fund balance.
Correct.
Which currently has a balance of how much? Do you know offhand? Approximately, not exactly. 200,000, 300,000,
Oh,
400,000?
wait a minute, it's right on your sheet.
Oh,
418,849.
and so we'll be adding another 80 plus-ish.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good estimate. And then any other revenues that weren't taken into consideration when we set the tax rate.
Okay. 83 of the 165 for floors, fire truck.
So 418 does not include the balance from 2024, is that correct, at this moment?
Correct.
Correct.
That's
Okay.
how much was there when we set the tax rate.
Okay, good, thank you.
Not we, selectmen.
You sit at the table, you coordinate all the stuff. You're allowed to, at least every once in a while.
Yeah. More credit.
Every once in a while, at least.
It goes south.
Okay, does anyone have any concerns, questions, comments about the 2024 drawdown?
Looks like the selectmen did a great job spending right down to 80,000
Mhm.
out of over a $3 million budget.
From an overarching standpoint, I would say yes. I think there are some areas that should be reminded of a little bit of fiscal conservancy. There's some overspends in areas that I'm not 100% sure that with a little bit more planning and a little bit more of attention to what's going on, that those could be avoided going forward. Luckily, those overspends didn't put us in a situation where the entire budget is overspent.
That could never happen.
I've never seen that.
What?
in
That
my-
would never happen.
I've
No,
never seen
seriously.
that in
You
my
can't.
tenure.
You can't, you're
You
not
can't.
legally
You
not
can't.
allowed to.
Right.
We're not the federal government.
What's
We're not the federal
Right,
government.
right, we're just state.
No, but
We don't have a deficit?
it would put us in a bind if there was somebody who significantly overspent that, like you would have to put a memo out that says halt spending in order to.
Oh, sure, that would be, yeah, the duty of the selectmen.
That never happened to my knowledge.
Oh, it has. It happened last year, didn't it? For a while, there was a spending freeze.
Right, but I mean, they didn't go over the bottom line.
No, because they saw the cliff coming and put the brakes on, so to speak.
Well, last year, we actually asked for the over expenditure because of the road.
Right, that part because of the road, but I'm talking about the rest of it. Yeah, I kind of count the road as a separate issue because it was sudden, there was no way we could anticipate
An
that.
emergency
Yeah, it was an
repairs.
Oh, that was the
repair.
storm,
The storm
the
damage.
storm, yeah.
Okay, anything else?
Could I
Yeah.
ask a question?
Sure.
Under insurance,
Liability has increased 9%, workman's comp 12%. Does that just reflect the increase, or does that reflect anything in-house?
It's probably twofold, one of which, so if you're asking sort of roundabout if anybody's on
Right.
unemployment compensation, I
Right.
believe the answer is no. And, correct?
Right, not
Yeah.
everyone.
So what you're seeing reflects increases in numbers of people that we're paying insurance for,
I see.
and an increase in those insurances.
Okay.
So it's kind of twofold.
Thank you.
Did anything fall off the notes due this year? Like anything get paid off this year?
The truck that we sold, we didn't have to make that payment
Okay.
in 2025. Don't think there was anything else
Okay.
that came off of it. I think I would've left it blank if it did. You kinda would be able to see.
So the
um,
police cruiser kind of came off.
Yep, so no, everything came across with the exception of that police cruiser. Actually, we added the trash truck.
Okay.
There is a $12,000 overage in the DPW line. I'm sure some of that is due to the $40,000 overage in parts. But there's no explanation on that, no comment in that right-hand line.
Where are you?
On the DPW highway,
Page 5.
page 5,
Yep,
line number 7,
parts?
parts,
Yep.
$40,900.
Well, that detailed drawdown had everything on it that was spent out.
Yeah, I know, I'm sorry, I forgot to.
But I know there were some big chunks, like, that Josh explained, that $12,000 that we had to pay when we got the new truck, because some of the parts and pieces weren't anticipated when we did the loan for it. That was a $12,000 hit there that I remember.
Yeah, this is $41,000. There's another 28 on top of the 12 for the unanticipated pieces. So I need to go back to admin highway.
Where's the DPW, can I?
Highways,
The DPW highway on the detailed
Starts
drawdown?
on page 31.
Oh, okay, all right, just figured it didn't go in alphabetically, it's gone under H highway or something.
Yeah, it goes highways DPW as opposed to DPW highways.
Got it.
Parts, here we go. Yeah, that's the Western Star chassis, the 12,000. What's an MM36E mulcher? Is that the lawnmower? $4,800?
Probably.
Oh. Chadwick Barros?
Yeah, that could be.
Well, that's not the zero turn.
No, that came out of Parks and Rec.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a mulcher, $4,800 for a mulcher?
It must be the,
And
lawnmower of sorts.
9,000, so will be, because this says reimbursed by heavy highway equipment ETF, $9,000.
Oh, that must be I don't know.
3
off the top of
plows,
my head.
trucks, 3 plows.
Yeah. That would-
10,000 for a EWR 150 excavator.
That was the head on the excavator that needed to be replaced. Unanticipated, of course.
I'm gonna slightly tangential, but hopefully not too far, just, the mulcher is different than the wood chipper that they're looking for?
I believe so.
Does a mulcher
Mulcher's
take
different
chips
than
and,
wood chips.
Any idea?
does it take
No,
the
I'm gonna
wood
look
chips
it
out
up
of
right now, I'm not familiar with that.
Which
piece of
page did you
equipment.
see the mulcher on?
The mulcher,
I'm
page
looking it up right
33.
About halfway down,
About
919.
halfway
M
down.
3368 mulcher.
Do you see it, Linda?
$4,800.
Well,
You
that's
see
a,
it?
it's a head that goes on the end of the excavator. It looks
Oh.
like, I think it, don't they use it at the transfer station to grind up the glass or something?
For roadside mowing,
Well, the roadside mower, that's it, yeah, it's an attachment, I think, for the excavator.
that makes
It's
sense.
like a hydraulic cutter or something for the head. Yeah.
So is that the head? We bought a head? Like a roadside cutter?
That's what it
mulching
is
head?
right there.
Which are we talking about, the
See.
mulcher or the excavator head?
Mulcher. Notice see it says MM36E?
Yeah,
The description is Bradco Excavator Mulcher 2 MM36. So it probably goes on an excavator.
it goes on the front of the excavator to clear the ditches
That
or
makes
or
sense.
whatever, I think, that's what it is.
So what's
clear
the
the
difference
weeds
between
and-
that and the EWR 150E?
Yeah, we definitely already own one, so might knew, I remember.
Well, it's not like we get an excavator for 10,000, but what is the 10,000 for?
Yeah, I'm not
Right.
sure what that other piece is.
Can you Google?
Oh, this, the
Well, that's the
EWR
one-
150 is the actual
the actual
excavator.
excavator.
Right, that's the actual machine.
So that
Right,
Oh, it's just-
10,000's a part for the
Right, she said the
actual
head,
machine.
what's the difference between the head on the excavator and this?
Well, I'm not sure.
yeah, I don't
Right.
know.
Yeah.
I
And
know
I
it's a
don't
blue
expect
truck
you-
and a red truck, I
She's like,
don't know.
I think it's the same way I have it. It's a blue one.
I thought
All right, well, maybe we can find
They had
out.
the grinder for the glass too, at the transfer station,
But-
that I think went on the excavator.
Would that come out of DPW or wouldn't that come out of
I'm
the
not
transfer
sure,
station?
yeah, I'm not sure.
Well, the transfer station,
Is under DPW.
DP does
and it
that.
doesn't have a parts line as such, so if
Yeah.
you needed something, it all comes out of
Why
that
wouldn't they
same.
have a parts line? They should have their own parts line.
And then cutting edge for 7,000?
Those are expensive.
Cutting edge.
The carbide cutting edges for the graders and
Those,
the equipment.
they go on the plows.
Plows, the bottom of the plow, the rides on the street.
You'll see that come up annually, and they
Those
were more
wear pretty
expensive
quick,
this year.
yeah.
Do they track in iWork, like, we have these invoices and stuff, which specific piece of equipment it goes to?
I'm pretty sure Dave does, yeah.
Probably Dave would know.
And how often we're replacing it?
I would assume so. I
Yeah,
haven't
I
been
know.
in iWorks to
I
know
don't
how.
You know, I mean,
Don't get me wrong, I mean, there's lots of windshield replacements and plow hose fittings and hydraulic hoses, all that kind of stuff. But these just stand out. $4,800 for a mulcher, $9,000 for the truck plows, $10,000 for a head on the excavator, and then $7,000 for the cutting edge from out of Milton, the Southworth Milton folks. They're larger expenses. Those are kind of some of the expenses that some of them you cannot anticipate, but you know on an annual basis or every other year basis, you're gonna have to replace some of these plow heads or cutting edges, those things. They should be in the CIP, shouldn't they? Am I
Well, they
the only one
should,
who thinks that?
if not individual items, at least kind of a list, this is what we need to set aside in the ETF to cover this list of things.
What's an ETF?
Expendable
it's
trust
trust
fund.
fund,
Oh, okay.
the heavy
All right,
equipment.
thank you.
Yeah, they have the heavy highway equipment
Yeah.
expendable trust fund,
It's a
which they
transfer
could put.
station capital improvements fund.
I mean, that's like normal wear and tear parts, these cutting edges and stuff, you know, we
Yeah,
need to.
they get
But
those
it's
every year.
a bit predictable if it's every
They
year.
are, I think you'd need them pretty often.
Maybe not after this year, if it doesn't snow.
Come on, we still got like a month and a half to go.
Oh, more than that.
Yeah, 40 bucks.
All right, so anyway, that's 16, 26, 30-something thousand out of the $70,000 they spent is in those four pieces right there.
But the 9,000 came out of the ETF.
Will come out of the ETF.
It
I
did
don't know.
come
if
out.
It
it already
says
did.
reimbursed by ETF. so-
Well, it says reimbursed by. I don't know if it's already been reimbursed
Right,
or
but I mean,
at the end of the year, hopefully.
But it will come out of a new budget.
Oh, no, you know what?
Did you pull that 9,000 out?
I don't think we did.
Okay.
Yeah, it was-
I believe he
so
got
I'm just reading
approval.
what it
I think the
says.
selectmen
I
gave
know.
the approval to take it out of there. Must have, because it's written in
Yeah.
there like that. I'm thinking, maybe not. I don't remember. It didn't anyway, so it didn't. Bottom line is it didn't.
There's also a couple other big ones on the other page. There's a blade carbide, another blade for 4,500, a pre-wet and ladder.
Where are
Truck
you?
number 12, page 32.
Page 32 at the bottom.
Yeah.
Yep, that $12,000, that was
That's
what
the-
Josh
That's what we
talked
talked
about at
about
the
already,
last
yeah,
meeting.
yeah. But then there's the 4,500 for the blade carbide high performance.
Cooper High Performance.
So that's a blade for
And then
another
there's a
truck.
5,300 for pre-wet and ladder, truck number 12 is truck number,
That was that same $12,000, part of that same truck, I'm most positive.
so it really was more like
$17,000.
$17,000. How do you miss that?
And which one is, so many things to cross-reference. Truck number 12, and I saw that we got the updated equipment list, so thank you to the DPW.
That is, I think that's the truck we got like a year after we ordered it. We got it last year.
Truck
Last year,
3,
this
truck
year? What year are
4,
we in?
Truck 12, not the transfer station truck? I forget.
Truck 12, replacement year, ASAP, estimated cost $150,000. It's a 2008 Peterbilt
Oh, okay, that's
340
right.
bearing. The truck was purchased new on May 30th, 2008 at a cost of $126. Current mileage is 111 with 9,500 hours on the engine. The dump body was rotted beyond use and replaced with a new stainless steel body, new fenders, ladder, pre-wet system, with a cost of $81,000. So in 2023, we spent $80,000, give or take, on this truck, and now we want to replace it. It says the dump body will be removed and used on a new truck when truck 12 is taken out of service. This truck is used for hauling materials, is assigned to plow High Street, Deer Drive, North Division, yada, yada, yada. This truck is in good condition, however, it should be replaced in the near future due to its age of 16 years. 2024 maintenance was $10,000. And I would say potentially more than that.
And it very well could be, because after I talked with Josh about some of those, he and Dave had a talk, and Dave said that some of those numbers might change.
Yeah.
So did he, I'm sorry, I didn't read it, did he estimate replacement years in 2026? Sounds like he said high priority but didn't request a year.
It just says it should be replaced in the near future.
Near future.
Okay.
So he's not saying 2026, 2027, 2025.
But it should be in the CIP.
It's, is it?
It should
The-
be. I'm saying
The original truck is, but not the replacement time, is it? Joy?
No, the only thing that, DPW added to the CIP, was that the chipper needs to be replaced as a high priority. The estimated cost was $90,000.
Does he give any indication of how he wants to replace that? Does he want to do a warrant article? Do you
No, I don't know
know?
if he's leaving that up to the selectmen.
I would assume so.
You got a couple days to figure it out. And what year? I don't think you can do it this year. I know that the wood chipper is important. I know that the one that we have, you and I, Joe, we talked about this back last summer when we were talking about the grader, and that the fact that the wood chipper was broken and they were trying to get it fixed, and
It needed a clutch and battery,
Yeah.
a bunch
And
of
it's
other
old,
repairs.
and this
It's old,
company-
it's like 40 years old.
they had to have it rebuilt or something. But I thought I remembered him saying that it was rebuilt, that clutch was
They
rebuilt.
did, they were able to get a clutch fabricated somewhere. I think it is running, but it should be on the list for, replacement in the near future.
This year?
I don't know this year, but
Yeah.
it really, I know it hurt us during the last April storm when the clutch went and they couldn't grind, chop up the trees that fell on the road and everything.
So I'm wondering, when some of this kind of stuff happens, like, I know, we don't have a wood chipper because it was broken, do they not rent one?
I'm not sure, they probably had to rent one to
Mhm.
clear the
They-
roads after that storm.
We did rent it, yeah.
Yeah.
Do we, can you do me a favor? Do you have any idea what, I mean,
In
they,
20, I don't know how much we rented a chipper in 2024. I know we rented one quite often in 2023 when we had the road issues.
because I'm just wondering, if when we have the road issue, does it make more sense just to rent a wood chipper to chip the wood for that particular storm? Because once you clear the road and the trees are off the road, they're not gonna cause a fire, they're not gonna cause anything, they can sit somewhere
Unless they
and
have a
wait to be.
different idea, right?
and-
Did
and-
they need to use it more?
What they did in April, I think they used the excavator loader. They
Just to
actually
move it.
cut the stuff, into
Yeah.
8, 10-foot pieces. They put it in the back of the transfer station truck, I think in dumpsters. And they
And
brought
moved it.
They brought it up the hill here. And I think till they could chop it up or clean it up, because they didn't have a chipper to
Right,
do it
so-
in place.
Right,
Yeah.
it'd probably be nice to have one.
Well, yeah, but it's not, it's at $90,000, it's a nice to have, not a must have.
Well, they're
At this
expensive.
particular moment, yeah, they're, I get that they're not gonna get any cheaper, but,
Well, there hasn't been any discussion at all about buying one this year.
No.
This has never come up at any of the meetings or
it's
anything
on
like
the
that.
CIP.
It just, yeah, Josh just forwarded it to me on Saturday, while you working on a Saturday. But, he forwarded it to me on Saturday, Josh's update to the CIP. And he would, let us know that certain things, low cost items we don't need to be tracking on the CIP, they'll have that on their equipment lists. And then the only really addition was, to replace the chipper noted as a high priority, estimated purchase price 90. So I think that's the first that it's come to the attention of,
Yeah.
well, at least me as a selectman. I don't know if it's been mentioned to the others yet.
When we looked at this, I don't know,
There
I think
hasn't been
Sharon
much.
mentioned, 6 months ago?
6
So
months ago.
One of the things, I actually went and looked at the machine, and it's an old machine. And in the time, the 30, 40 years since that's been made, OSHA has upgraded the safety requirements on wood chippers for personnel protection, prevent injury, right? Because they're a very dangerous
Very
machine.
dangerous.
And I don't think the machine we have
Meets
has
those.
the new OSHA standards, that have come in the last 5, 10 years. So that may be something that we need to consider as well to make sure that our equipment is up to, current safety standards.
Truck number 12, inspection and parts, repair, 6,000. So anyway, I think that we can discuss that separately as to,
Okay.
and I would ask that there's some level of analysis done by the DPW to indicate something along the lines of what you did for the road grader. What are the options? Is buying it the best option? Is renting one when we need one? Over the last couple years, if they can tell us how many times have they needed a wood chipper to chip wood, how many? Almost broke
How many
the
wood chucks,
textbook. Wood chip wood. How many times have we needed one? If we've needed one 12 times, and renting it, does that outweigh what we would pay in a single year for a loan, if you will, to buy a new wood chipper? Or if we've only needed it once or twice, does it make sense over the next several years until we can put money away for a wood chipper, if we actually even need one, to own one? I mean, maybe it makes sense to just rent it, because it seems to me
And
a
we're
wood,
not buying expensive parts for it.
and having to maintain it and having to refabricate a clutch.
Yeah.
So I think that there's some, and I don't, can the selectmen request that?
Request an analysis be done?
Yeah,
Yeah, I would think that would kind of happen, yes.
as part of, I propose we buy a wood chipper, here's my analysis to go with
Yep,
it.
at least,
Right.
prices on 3 and who's renting them for what cost.
And how many hours, because it's really important.
Yeah. How many hours do we use a wood chipper for over the last, say, 3 to 5 years, if we have that? Yes, ma'am?
Hi, this truck you referred to, that we just put $80,000 into,
80? No.
isn't that what you just said?
No.
truck 12, the
Truck
Peterbilt.
12.
Joe said, yeah.
has
Right?
30,000, I think I said, 12 in the other. But then I also just saw 9,000.
What
in
are
it.
the plans for that
For
truck?
Chuck 12, he's saying he wants to replace it.
But
and it's
what's the
in good-
plans for that truck?
Oh, you mean in
Trade-in
terms of
or-
selling it?
Probably turn it in or sell it, or,
yeah.
He would keep the dump body on it, cause the dump body's only 2 years old. Cause they replaced that in 2023. They would keep the dump body and use it on whatever new truck shell that they
So
buy.
what's wrong with the truck as we speak?
Let's go back and,
It's a 2008 Peterbilt. Yeah, it was purchased new May 30th, 2008. Cost of $126,000. The maintenance cost last year was $10,000.
no, it wasn't that. I know that it says that.
That's what it says on the
Right.
report. yeah.
But if I'm looking at the drawdown, the detailed drawdown, it's sort of more than that. Has 111,000 miles and 9,500 hours on the engine. So that engine's old and it's been used and worn.
How many hours?
9,500.
What's the trade-in value for something like that?
We would have to ask. You know,
Yeah.
that's where, not just saying, okay, yeah, let's put $90,000 on the CIP and let's approve that to buy that new truck. Let's find out, what is our current truck worth? How much money is there to move the dump body from the old truck to the new truck? Because that'll incur a cost. And then, how much is a new truck?
So it looks like it was 9,232 hours at the end of 2023. So it looks like it's been used for another about 250-ish,
9 or 90?
9,232 hours at the end of 2023.
So not 95,000?
That was a
And
year
there's
ago.
9,500
Yeah, so
now.
they put another couple hundred hours on it,
270.
70 hours.
And parts and repairs for 2023 were 67,540.
Yeah, they rebuilt the whole dump body in 2013,
So
right?
let-
A brand new back end on the
I'm
truck.
sorry, go back and say, what did you say, the cost?
The parts and repairs for 2023,
Yeah,
67,540, it's on the CIP.
okay.
And then the chassis, that was for,
The chassis?
yes. And that was, so those two things, the chassis and the, people who like, I never knew how to pronounce catastrophe for a long time because I only ever read the word, people weren't using it. Anyway, so pre-wet and ladder truck, so the 5,000 for that, and so that 17,000, does that stay with the truck, or is that something we can carry over into a new truck?
Sounds like they would take it off.
Okay,
Take the dump body
Off
off and
and
put it
move
on
it.
the new chassis.
so that $17,000 we spent this year, but we get to keep it, it's not like
Yeah.
it's money lost.
So you just buy
Truck.
the chassis.
Okay,
But I'm sure there will be a cost to remove it
To
from the
move it,
current
put it
truck
mounted.
and put it onto and mount it on the new truck.
Yeah. There'll be a
Should we
setup charge or
purchase one?
something, yeah.
Or that, if it's done in-house, just people's time, so. People's time and materials to move it.
I'm not sure if it's applicable, but one thing I don't see on the list is,
On which list?
the
We're not on
DPW.
this whole
Yeah,
list
okay.
yet.
No, but,
Sidetrack.
we had spoken about, the wood chipper and the excavator, the other equipment. You know, the old transfer station, the cat backhoe loader, that, is that.
That's sitting by the side of the.
Yeah, the worn out one, and they're using the DPW one right now up at the transfer station. There was talk about buying a new, backhoe front end loader.
John had talked about selling it, he
Yeah.
thought he might be able to get 12,000 for it, I haven't heard him talk about that in a while, have
Yeah,
you?
I remember
been
they
up
were
on
gonna try to
municipal.
sell it. yeah.
Sorry?
Oh, he did put it on municipal?
Josh and, yep, the guys put it on municipal.
Oh,
So it is.
It's up for sale?
It's up
Yep.
for sale, okay. Do we have that on Josh's list to procure next year or so, is it on the CIP for a new cat backhoe loader?
It is not. Because there was just, because the one from DPW went down and there, oh, hold on. There was talk of, I think, backfilling the DPW one.
Yeah, with a new machine, and I think what I saw, we were estimating $180,000 to $200,000 just kind of on a quick market survey
Yeah.
for a new 420 or 430 backhoe loader.
There it is. Yep, no, it's not under either, to replace on the CIP. There was talk of it. But it looks
So
like.
what I'm hearing, if I could interrupt, Peterbilt, Cat, and the excavator are $1 million. That's what I just got out of the conversation.
And the truck would be 150, say
You said
200
it
for a
was 100.
backhoe.
You said it was
And-
128 in 2008, so I'm guessing at least double by now.
Well, you can't, I don't know. He's saying the estimate is 150 to replace it.
Yeah, that's on the,
'Cause
Oh,
you're-
it is,
right,
okay.
It's
Yeah,
on, it's
150.
on that,
Just
the
that's what I
list.
wanted to clarify.
and.
But we don't have any, again, that's the whole reason to have the analysis that
Yeah, we
goes
don't
with
have
it.
an
is,
analysis.
Right.
I need 3 bids. Does Milton Cat sell them? If they do, what's their quote for what that would cost?
Right, right, no, I
And
understand.
2 others, so. And doing all of that now, so that should something happen and we
Right.
actually need to replace it sooner rather than later, we have all of the information that you need
Yeah, we don't wanna
to
get
make
into
an
the
informed- we don't wanna get
same
into the same
position we
issue.
did with like the road grader,
No,
where we're scrambling.
Yeah.
no.
At least have a thought about it, an acquisition plan. Hey, we're gonna need this new backhoe loader, down the line.
There it is. Backhoe, estimated 200,000.
Yeah, that was the cost we came up with.
And then chipper was on here already, estimated 60,000.
Yeah, that was for a smaller machine, similar to what we had now. That was just kind of a market price I looked up.
And then a Cat 920 loader was estimated for, 2025 warrant for 146. Estimated cost?
No, a cat, what, 920?
920 loader?
920 is a big machine, I think. Just like the big front end loader we got now.
That's, regardless.
Yeah,
What we need, what the selectmen need, what the ABC needs to do any kind of recommendation is, any of these things that the town wants to purchase in the next year to 2 years to 3 years, needs to start the process of developing that analysis to figure out what's the best way to go about this. Is it raise and appropriate money through taxation to buy it outright, so as not to incur interest costs? Is it to go through and get the low-cost loan that it's a rent-to-own situation where it's the 5 to 7 years, depending on the machine? Or is it, we actually don't need to own that kind of a machine, we only use it 200 hours a year, so maybe we just rent it when we need it. And oh, by the way, it's not like if I rent it and they tell me it's not available for 3 weeks, catastrophe's gonna happen. That, it is something that can wait. Okay, if it's available in 3 weeks, we'll take it in the 3 weeks. And then we'll do our, whatever it is, wood chipping or, personally, I think that it's mostly the wood chipper. Other stuff, when you need them, you kinda need them.
So, did I hear that the loader, that we're now have one down at the transfer station?
that was the
That's the
DPW
DPW's
one.
loader.
Yeah, that's a cat, backhoe, I call it backhoe loader. I think it's a
Yeah,
cat
it has those
420 F or D or something like that.
So on Monday afternoon, Friday afternoon, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, nobody at the dump is utilizing it. So we have that time
To
to
use
use
it.
somewhere else.
Yeah, during the week, basically.
During the week.
Mhm.
And then on the weekends, it can be at the transfer station moving as stuff gets filled up. But there's no employees.
There
there
could be
during the
work
week.
share for that, is
Right.
what you're getting at.
Yes,
And again, that should be in the
which
analysis.
could be in
Can there-
a struggle if we have full-time dump, but we don't.
Mhm.
We have DPW that mostly works Monday through Friday, and dump people mostly work weekends.
Friday to Monday, Monday morning.
No, DPW works Monday through
Yeah,
Friday.
but the transfer station
Yeah,
works,
and
yeah.
they work they
Yeah,
always
opposite
worked opposite
hours,
hours,
yeah,
yeah.
Right.
No, that makes sense, that's,
So again, like we were saying,
Take the struggle out of it, is
that
what I'm
needs to
saying.
be in the analysis kind of thing.
since
is
the
to
other,
do thing.
the machine, the older cat that was at the transfer station, the one that's up for sale
Mm-hmm.
now, who's sitting on the side of the DPW barn, you know, I haven't heard of any impact where they haven't been able to share. Because that machine has spent a lot of time just up at the transfer station,
Right.
so, okay.
Go ahead. Do we have any other questions about the final drawdown and the detailed reports by department? I think we've hashed the DPW enough.
That's where the biggest numbers are.
Well, it's true,
That's-
it is.
that's- Well, they own a lot of equipment, they're running a lot of equipment there.
What's a Vactron vacuum trailer?
Where are you?
I went under rentals, sorry, first page
Oh,
under
isn't that what
rentals.
they used to suck up the leaves
Out of the culverts and stuff.
out of the culverts? Yeah, I think
Did
it's
we
like a,
rent that or?
Yeah, it looks like we're in.
it's like a, yeah, it's a portable machine on a trailer that sucks up all the leaves and grinds them up or something, yeah.
To
It
clean
makes
up?
sense to rent one, you know, if we don't use it that often.
Yep.
I think we only use it, what, once or twice a year in the fall, 2 times in the fall to get all that stuff up, so.
I would think they'd use it a lot. What do I know? I mean,
Technically, the selectmen said that each homeowner is responsible for their own
you know,
culverts.
that makes sense then.
Cleaning your own culvert?
Yeah.
Emergency
Clear.
Management Director,
That makes sense.
it's because of those are the costs that will get directly reimbursed at 100% if FEMA approves them.
Correct, administrative numbers, right,
Yeah.
are reimbursed at 100%.
Okay, so we budgeted 2,500, we spent, this is all in time, this is $25 an hour in time. 6,022, which overspends the line, 3,500, but should those, when Mike has a chance to put all those numbers together and file those reports, we believe FEMA will reimburse them at 100%.
Correct. He already has all the numbers together, and I
Yeah.
wanna say he may have already submitted them.
Oh, good.
I'm not 100% sure, but
Yeah,
all the numbers were together.
so the fire department requested to buy that defibrillator, right? And its cost was how much? I thought it was $44,000.
42, 44?
Okay, so at the end of the day, that's what was left in his budget, 44,167. So did that all come out of his budget? Or is it going to come out of his budget, or?
Well, it's encumbered, so it
Oh,
doesn't
okay.
show up
Right,
in
okay.
here, but part of it was paid for with the remaining ARPA funds, and then part of it came out of the budget.
Okay. We have anybody qualified to run those things?
Oh,
Do we
yeah.
have them trained to
Oh,
use
yeah,
it?
we have several EMS guys that are trained too. Mhm.
Phone, we know, Eversource. Maintenance. Pests. Supplies.
We're still on 2024?
Yeah, and just finish it up. I don't think there's, is there anything else that anybody sees that causes you to question, or have a question as to why? Medical insurance was 24,000 over. But that's because of a change in number of employees.
Got a question on page 11, for notes and leases. I don't see the new grader.
Right.
We've had it on hand, correct me if I'm wrong, since
October.
October, yet I don't see that listed here under notes and leases.
It wouldn't be because the first year, 2024, was
It was
just the down
deferred
payment. It was
payment.
deferred until 2025. So this will come, that grader will come on come this year for 2025.
Okay, so we have spent no money to date on that new grader?
Well,
In
we
2024?
spent the down payment.
down
but we
payment,
haven't
the
made any-
32.5.
We haven't
Where-
made any
Where
payments.
is the down payment in this?
You never, it's not gonna, you won't
It was-
see it.
It's in the
your-
form of the trade-in
trade-in.
that we
The
gave you
trade,
the old
it's on the
grader.
sales agreement for the grader.
Okay, so bottom line is, how much came out of the budget in 2024 for the new grader?
Nothing yet.
Nothing
It's
yet.
deferred.
Right.
Okay, so the down payment was the trade-in?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's fine.
The first payment's
32.
not due till what, June or something?
June sounds right.
June, end of June,
Okay.
2025?
That'll be, what, 67,000?
$400 or something. Yeah.
And then you'll see it this year on here.
Okay.
All right, anybody
No,
have any
no,
other questions?
No, I think we
All
can
right.
move on.
Well, then let's move. Let's take a look at the updated road priorities, because I think we can get done with that pretty quick. That's number 10. The other thing will take time like this did for discussion. So, one of the questions that I got asked was that we didn't see, the meeting ended after 40 minutes of idle time. The link doesn't take me to the meeting, it takes me to the library group. I'm ready to sign in. Do we have to sign back in to that?
Probably.
Well, she sent me a text, and now I can't find it. It said that it timed out.
Yeah, the meeting, yeah.
Right, so we would have to just sign back in.
I don't know.
She
I
might
don't
have
know
to
how work
restart the
Zoom.
meeting.
Who'd have to?
Sloan,
Yeah.
she handed it over to us, didn't she?
Yes, but
Can-
I think we timed
Yeah.
out.
Do you want me to try?
Sure. I don't know much, I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I think you just get out of it and sign back in.
I've worked on Zoom for many, many years.
Yeah.
Do we
Alright, I
want-
let the host know we're here. Oh, wait. There we go.
That's the book group.
Oh, yeah, that's,
We don't wanna
Sloan's
be
Oh,
in.
Club.
What book are
Yeah.
they reading?
yeah, that's Sloan's Club or something.
Right.
Yeah. Wrong meeting.
Alright. Guess book one. Trying to think.
Uh-oh.
Could you do a Google Meet?
Call?
Can we just call or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. Rather than wasting time on that. Yep.
I need the phone, if we're just gonna call them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right behind you.
Can you
Joe,
grab
get your
the
hand
phone?
on. Nope. Lovely.
So the-
Who's it calling?
Wow, that's
I
loud.
was calling Michael Brooks.
I'll call Mike Brooks.
Hopefully he's not at his
Pick
desk.
up the phone, it's
Right.
Mike, Linda, and
Okay,
Kate.
let
There
me
you go.
text him.
We're on candid camera.
I have to call you on phone, Zoom.
Do you wanna vote to
Yeah,
allow it?
as soon as I type
Yeah, we
this
gotta
out.
figure out how we're gonna
Okay.
connect here.
So, I'd like to make a motion that we allow Rick Judkins, who is in one of the Carolinas, North or South Carolina, to join via Zoom and or telephone, whichever one we can connect with. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Yeah.
Now, from now on, we have to do a roll call,
A roll call.
right?
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna, what is his phone number?
Let me get this thing set up.
You could FaceTime him on your phone, John, maybe.
So can I just ask a question? Like last meeting I was at, he was up there.
Correct.
And how come like this so far, he hasn't been up there?
Because he had texted me and said that he was gonna be late coming to the
Okay,
meeting
all right, I was
because
just
he had an
wondering why the
issue.
meeting started and now all of a sudden we're having him join. I was
Yeah.
just curious.
He was not
That's a good
able to join
question.
on time. Contacts.
Can I ask you a question?
So
Do you know
sounds
what they mean on the
electronic.
road priority? It says East Madison Road dash REC and then East Madison Road.
If anything, I'd guess it would mean reclaim.
Oh.
REC would mean reclaim.
Hi, I'm gonna call you, I wanted to
know,
give you a
that'd
heads
be
up, we're having a little issue with Zoom, because it timed out on us, because we joined the meeting, created the meeting, and then didn't
I
use it.
don't really know.
So
I'm
I'm
just-
gonna call you from the regular office phone down here, okay?
Okay, and what, to what phone?
The one I'm talking to you on,
Okay.
okay?
How's that gonna, is it gonna work with Zoom?
No, you're just gonna, it's gonna be a teleconference only, we can't get Zoom to work,
Okay.
okay?
We'll try, I'll go get my paperwork, I just brought it all out and put it all away.
Okay, all right, I'll call you back in a minute.
Yeah.
All right, bye. And then once I get him on the phone, he has to state why he can't be here and
Who's in the room?
Okay, so, just dial. Or
No, you're gonna have to hit a line.
I gotta get a line. Does it matter?
I don't know what that says.
It says
Mike,
Mike, Linda,
Linda, Kate.
PD one,
Further
go
down.
9931-4.
Yep, any one of those last
Okay.
three, yeah.
Until we get, okay.
You have to dial one.
603 986 7363.
Okay, I'm here.
Okay, can you hear us?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, great. Can you do me a favor? For the record, state your name, who you are, make sure that, tell us if you're, alone in the room or if there's anybody there with you, and then also the reason why you are unable to join here in person.
Rick Judkins, I am alone, I'm isolated now, and I'm not in New Hampshire.
Okay, because you're not in New Hampshire. Good enough. All right, we will, if for any votes, we will do a roll call vote, and I'll call your name so you can say yay or nay for any votes that we may need to take, okay?
Sure,
All right.
yep.
Okay, we have tackled a few subjects. Where's my,
I think I moved it when I got
did you,
your
yeah, you
agenda.
did move it. Yeah, my agenda and my notes. Okay, so we already talked about the 2024 final drawdown. We talked about the SAU 13 draft budget. We're about to talk about the updated road priorities. So if you want to pull that sheet
Okay.
out.
The road priorities,
Yes,
okay,
okay?
yeah, I'm almost there. Okay,
Okay, and I did ask, Rick, you had mentioned that Maple Grove Road is not on this road priority list. And I had asked Linda to check with Josh as to why that might be. And I should probably just read the answer, I guess, would be better. But the answer was that there is very little of Maple Grove Road that's actually paved. And that when he got the list, I think when he inherited the list was the words that he used from the previous DPW manager, that it was not on the list, and he suspects it's because it's just a small portion of it. I'm an advocate for putting it on there anyway because it's going to cost money to fix the pavement on it. might not cost a lot.
That's correct, and the distance on that road is pretty much the equivalent of Blind Hill and Bickford. So it's about the same size, actually, in terms of distance.
Right, right.
And that first part where it meets East Madison Road
And you're right, it's gonna cost money.
Right,
that's just scary.
right. And again, the other one, I don't see Bickford on here either. And the top of that, the south end of it, but at the top of it, that is paved as well.
Right.
So
In
Bickford,
fact, about 40 feet of that road, 40, 50 feet of that road has been destroyed by logging trucks.
right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, don't even get me started. There was one other road I thought. Is Glines Hill on here?
Yes,
Oh,
it
yeah.
is at the bottom.
Oh, it's at the bottom.
At
It's
the
in
bottom.
yellow.
Yeah, it doesn't speak of Bickford, but it does go down Bickford probably 100 feet beyond the intersection. But much of that's been destroyed, as I said,
Right,
from logging trucks. They just busted it. There've been 3 logging operations in there, and they have destroyed that road, and they have done major damage to the Glines Hill section. So,
Right. Okay, well, we'll just get in touch with Josh and ask him to put Bickford and Maple Grove, do an assessment, put Bickford and Maple Grove Road. I mean, Glines Hill shows it's only 1,000 by 18, so if it's about the same.
The Bickford, Glines Hill are really all one project. I mean, you can't do one without
Out the other,
doing the other.
because it turns that corner right there.
Yeah.
And
Maple
I,
Grove is, I think, in terms of measuring it up to Glines Hill, it's equivalent or more, actually. And for a lot of the same reasons. They pave those sections because they wash out.
okay, well, and I could justify in my head that because Bickford is right there connected, and if you do Glines Hill at that section, you're probably going to do Bickford, that they could make it a
Sure.
Glines Hill / Bickford and remeasure it
Sure.
and
Sure.
use that for a cost. And then add Maple Grove Road. Okay. As far as priorities go, looking at the red, yellows, and greens, and one blue. Does anybody have any concerns about how these are rated? I will tell you, I do not know what these ratings were based on. I don't know.
I guess that's my major question is, I have no idea what the criteria was that was used to make the determinations. So, that's difficult to assess.
Right.
And that's why I'm reluctant to not support 400,000. I really agree with Ron Forrest that it needs to be reduced to around 325, and I can support that.
So I forget off the top of my head, at the last meeting, Josh indicated there were 6 roads in particular, Joe, you may know off the top of your head, 6 roads in particular on here that are red. There are some that I know were not going to be done this year in this list of 6 or 6.5. There was Forest Pines, wasn't there Forest Pines Extension? There are about 6 roads that he said could be done for the 400,000, and that would put them back in the green.
Yeah, because the initial list was 500K for the red roads.
Right. They took Mooney Hill off.
They took Mooney off for 111,000
right.
or something, yeah.
Right, so,
Hey, that's where I live.
so looking at the cost in the rightmost column, adding up just this year's is about, not just this year's, adding up the reds is about 1.2 million. So he had indicated that there were priorities that added up to about 400, and again, I can't remember off the top of my head which one, do you
No,
remember?
I can't remember which.
All right, because I know they were in your report as well, and he was going to update this to reflect your report, and I don't think I have either right now.
Right, and this has 8 roads being red as opposed to just 6.
Yes.
So there are extra roads on here.
But they also took one off too, they took
Yeah,
Mooney Hill
They
off.
took
I remember
Right.
the roads, I think Ron looked at and I looked at.
I actually drove the roads.
I did too.
Yeah.
Town Hill Road was the worst one. It's not that long, it's only like 1,500 feet,
Town line.
or Town Line Road,
Yeah.
Town Line Road, sorry, I'm having trouble reading it here. That one was really, I mean, it was just broken up, it hadn't been done in 20, 30 years. But, the other roads, I know Ron drove, Jones Hill, we drove Forest
I
Pine.
did Forest Pine.
Sections are very good,
Yeah.
you know, there's certain sections that, you know, especially at the valleys, at the hills,
Yeah.
that need to be done. So we're not talking about, I think, redoing the
Yeah,
whole
and
road.
East Madison Road was not on the first list,
Yeah.
but it's on this list.
It's on this
And I
list.
drive East Madison Road a lot, and there's sections of it that I fully agree
Yeah.
that need a lot of attention.
Mhm.
There's no question about it.
Yeah.
I'd like to make a general comment, if I may.
Absolutely.
I want to thank the DPW and the team that put this together. This is a big step forward in the planning tool, a great planning tool and a visual tool. My only concern is when you have to weigh this against taxpayer affordability. We're looking at potentially right now of the town budget, excluding the school, of over 12% increase from last year, if you look at everything, including the 400,000 that is requested. My concern is we should look at the taxpayer side now and say, let's scale this back a little bit, make it more affordable. Keep this great list going. You prioritize the roads, even the red roads, from 1 through whatever it is. And whatever the townsfolk agree to in March, you start with number 1, you work down the list until you're out of money. But this is a great tool. I want to thank the DPW and the team that put this together. But in my opinion, that 400,000 is still a huge increase over the 250 that we've had for several years. And so that's why I suggested a 30% increase over last year to 325, and perhaps the next year, we might want to bump that up again to maybe 400,000, maybe a little bit more, depending upon if we really have some roads that are in really bad condition. But what I'm saying is, I don't think there's any roads that are impassable right now, or going to be impassable in the
If we
coming
don't
year.
fix them.
Shouldn't we
If don't
leave it up
fix
to to them though, or don't they know that this is what they're doing, that's their, right?
Yeah, just
To
in terms
know
of
what-
So,
budgeting.
well, let me also be clear on this. When I did get,
I mean,
The
we're a budget
conversations-
committee, right? Like,
Right.
how do we know what the roads are? I
Well,
mean, just
that's-
because you drive them, I mean, I get that, but also,
I'm looking at taxpayer affordability.
I
mean,
understand that
as a-
also,
as a
Ron,
budget
but
committee member,
it just
as-
seems like, you know.
But you can't just say arbitrary, you wouldn't need a budget committee. If you said that to selectmen and to the school board, we elected you, we're just gonna trust you to do your job. So the budget committee is an oversight.
For me, I just think that we don't know, like, it's, whatever, it doesn't matter, go ahead.
No, this is a great tool. It's a
Right.
great tool.
Right.
And the reds will be taken care of
Right.
first. But what I'm saying is the jump between 250 and 400, I believe at this point, with everything else going on, and with a 12% increase in the total town budget, is more than the taxpayer should bear in this time, this coming year. Because look at what happened, Social Security, 2.5% increase. The actual increase in their paycheck is less than 2%. I know, I get Social Security. And I'm looking at a lot of people in this town who probably have gotten the 2.5% or less increase in their pensions or in their salaries this year. And to have such a huge spike in their taxes, way above 3 or 4 or 5%, I think is unreasonable. So what I'm saying is, we just pull the strings back a bit, and we make it steps to increase this, but not these large spikes. I've been against spikes. You've heard me at public meetings for years. I'm against large spikes in our tax rates. Okay, we should do a better job at that.
one second.
I have a perspective that's very similar. My perspective is that we need to have this paving situation is endless. It's not going to be a year when we do not pave. So my experience has been that we develop a plan that deals with the ongoing paving every year and come up with a number that is a number that will deal with getting the paving done over a cycle and keeping the roads in drivable condition. It can be done. I've seen it done. I've been a part of that at one point in my career. And this doesn't, to me, doesn't look like a plan. We're going to pave a bunch of roads, and then next year we're going to pave a bunch more roads. And at some point, I think we need to know what the future expectation is. We should be able to set a number that we put into paving every year. And we have to commit as a community to do that once we know what it is. We don't. And that's my difficulty with this plan.
So, as near as I can tell, looking at this plan, let me defend the DPW a little bit on this, is because this is not their plan. They didn't create this. The former head of DPW created this and apparently left like no notes. So they're doing the same thing we're doing, and they're trying to figure out what this really represents. When I look at this, I see these roads grouped into 5 groups. And it seemed to me that maybe somewhere in someone's head, they believed we pay attention to group 1, year 1, group 2, year 2, group 3, year 3, group 4, year 4, group 5, year 5. And now, if I'm looking at this year coming up as year 1 for group 1, I have 3 roads that are red in that particular group. Those 3 roads need attention and will need help. Some of the other roads might need minor stuff here and there, but it doesn't look like they need significant things to happen to them. So,
Well, certainly not repaving.
correct, not repaving.
And,
So if you look
we
at,
have-
they have
we
over,
have-
go ahead.
We have roads in our community that are pounded on. Boulder Road is a great example. East Madison Road is a great example. Those roads are going to have to be paved more often than others, simply because of the traffic that's on them. So, you know, in a cycle, a road like, and I hate to pick out names of roads, but let's just say, for example, I think it's Saxon Road. That doesn't have heavy traffic. It probably has a lot of traffic, but not heavy traffic. And that can probably take longer in the cycle to get repaid as opposed to East Madison Road, Boulder Road, and those situations. So that's my thinking, and somehow that has to fit into a plan that fits into money, and we understand that the cost of paving goes up and all those things happen, and we have to make adjustments along the way, but we have to have a number that we can plug into the budget every year and know that something's going to happen and have some idea what it's going to be. I don't think we have that.
Yeah, good.
So I agree with Ron in regard to the spikes. It would be great if we could afford it, but I don't think we can.
We can't, right, I agree.
Okay, there's an important point here. The State Highway Department, okay, they came to Madison, gosh, I'm saying 6, 7 years ago, and they had a town meeting in the library, and they invited the general public, and they talked, because we complained about the state roads that go through our town, and we said 113 was in horrible shape. You remember that? 41, oh my gosh, you could lose your teeth if over the frost heaves. And so we complained to them, what is going on with the state? And they said, you're right, we're going to fix it. We have a 10-year plan. We have every road in the state now, and every 10 years, they come back and they do maintenance on that particular road. As a result of that meeting, and I was in the budget committee at the time, I got with the DPW, John Sear, And we developed a 10-year road plan to match the state. They said typically, if you actually maintain a road properly, it should last you 10 years before major maintenance needs to be done on that road. So we developed a 10-year plan which took this huge number, this huge cost of maintenance, and spread it out over 10 years. But it guaranteed every 10 years, we're gonna look at your road, barring any, catastrophe or storms. And so you're in a cycle. It also divides the cost of that over 10 years. From what I see here, this is probably less than 10 years.
I don't know.
I'm thinking it looks
Nobody
like
knows.
5.
It looks
based
like
on the-
5 years.
5 years.
Could be.
So all I'm suggesting here is we ask the DPW to maybe take another look at this, and if the state's okay with 10 years and it works, why not try the same philosophy in our town?
So, if I might,
Yes?
just did the math, so I found the thing that Joe had written, that Josh agreed in the previous meeting, yep, those are the 6 roads, I just tallied them up here, it's about 388. It doesn't include the 100 for Mooney that he said would be required just to finish the top coat, so it's 288 with the red roads from your list compared to this list, so 288K plus the 100K for top coat on Mooney for 2025 would be 388, so that 400 requested would cover, it all lines up. The next piece though is adding up the next round of reds, if we took care of those next year, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roads, 933,000.
Well, those are
So-
the larger roads, yeah.
Yeah.
One of them's like $500,000, I think,
Yeah,
to redo, yeah,
But they also took, as
East
I remember,
Madison.
that 10-year plan,
yeah.
it took, like East Madison Road, you can't do that in 1
You
year.
can't do it in 1 year.
It's just no way. It's way too long, way too much maintenance. So you divide it up into sections.
yeah. So we're looking at, for next year, it would be East Shore, Morris Pond, Pheasant Road, and East Madison. And those add up, they're a lot, obviously East Madison,
Is
big.
$500,000.
East Shore, big. Yeah, East Shore's
Okay.
$250,000.
No, it's just the alarm, the police officer's alarm.
Fire or anything?
No, it's the police alarm.
Oh,
They're sitting there
alright.
on office.
Locking up for the night. So theoretically, we would have to split those up. I mean, like you said, we'd have to split up, do a chunk of East Madison, a chunk of East Shore kind of thing, because you can't shut down the whole road.
But
well,
again,
yeah.
But it's
that's not our judgment call.
Nope.
That's the DPW's
Right.
judgment call.
agreed.
So
I'm
what,
just saying for budgeting purposes.
for budgeting purposes, if we agree that $388,000 with or without, that includes the
That's
research-
Mooney Hill,
That's
huh?
the top coating of Mooney Hill as well. Is that, are we sure? Because I seem to remember,
It was 111,000 to do the 1.5 on top of Mooney Hill.
right, and there was, I don't have it with me, is the.
I don't have the
Originally,
price
when the
quotes.
$500,000 was asked for, that was gonna include town line, all these ones over here, Pine,
Jones
Forest
Pine,
Pines, all
Forest
that.
Pine
Pines,
Hill,
yeah.
Forest Pine, Jones
And
Hill,
the,
East
and
Shore.
that one, that new coat over on the new paving on Mooney Hill Road.
Right,
The selectmen said, what if we put off the Mooney Hill Road for a year? They said, okay, that'd be about $100,000 take off. That's how they came up with the $400,000 number. So those roads over there and town line were expected to be about 400,000.
Okay. I just added them up from this.
yeah, and I don't know how, when,
No.
I mean, I know that Josh had provided actual estimates from companies.
It was R&D paving
Yeah.
had given us
So I don't know if
prices
this
for them.
price per ton 98.75 is still accurate.
I'm not
That's the only
sure,
thing.
yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know what the numbers actually are.
Again,
I have them.
But the cost has gone up in the last couple of years as well. so-
Right.
98.75. Yep, that's the.
that's still,
Is that an accurate price
That's
per
the-
ton of asphalt?
That is
Installed.
from the estimate.
Okay, that's
That
from
is
the
from
estimate.
the estimate
okay.
for Forest
Alright.
Pines Extension, Jones Hill, Pine Hill, Mooney Hill, and Town Line. So I'm not quite sure. So I guess the math doesn't quite line up in terms of the cost, so there's just supposed to be a calculation error in here. Cause it is the same roads, it is the same per ton, so,
Mhm.
or I'm
Yeah.
just not pulling from the right line or something. Because I'm off by 100K then,
Right.
so.
So let's go back to the original request, warrant article. Are we, do we think, well, Ron doesn't, Ron's of the opinion that even that 400 should come down another $75,000?
Just go up in steps, you know, go up in steps. It's a huge
I agree with
increase. Yeah, go up in steps.
Okay, so then the question would be, what could we get done based on these red priorities? We would have to have I think the DPW input. If we were to recommend that the warrant article only be $325,000.
$325, yeah.
Based on the red priorities or prioritization within the reds, what would you be able to get done? I think we need to know that. And then if he was able to come back and say, for another $50,000, I could get a whole nother road done. So if you
Yeah.
go from 325 to 375, this is what I can get done. And I think that we should give them the opportunity to provide that. Go ahead.
You need to keep in mind, you got 24 roads listed green that are evidently very, very good. You're gonna pick up another 8, and so you got 8 more that are green. But where does this end? Somehow, we need to know beyond today, this year, next year. And the plan needs to address those roads and those costs. And that's my whole point, trying to come to a number that is sustainable, tax-wise, to continue to keep road improvements up.
Right,
And,
and I would love, Rick, I would love to see. Go
We're
ahead.
taking a shot in the dark here. We're saying $325,000. I support that, but I'm not sure what it'll do. And I'm not sure what it'll do will change my opinion, because it does come down to affordability based on everything else we're facing.
Yes. I also think going back, we don't know. So beyond the red roads are the yellow roads. And do the yellow roads require whatever work that is quoted in here on this list to actually bring them from yellow to green? Or is that based on if you have to replace overlay, an inch and a half of overlay? Well, maybe at this point, I don't actually have to do that to turn them red. So I think it's important.
We're disadvantaged. We don't know the criteria that was used.
That was the
That's
point
the thing,
I was
yeah.
about to make, was
Yeah.
yes, knowing what those
Well, I think-
criteria stand
I
for.
think that this list becomes a guide to try to correct that and make it affordable.
We have 2 weeks. They have 2 weeks. I'm trying to figure out what's doable in that 2 weeks to be able to give us the information that we need in order to make an informed decision regarding the current warrant article.
Okay, so I pulled up Joe's report with the estimates. 378,608 is actually what those roads add up to.
Without top coating Mooney,
Without top coating,
Yeah.
that was 111, your memory, whoever memory was correct.
it's 111,000 or something.
Yep, so not doing that one, just doing the other 5 roads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yep. That adds up to 378,608.
What could we get done for 325? Drop, one of them, you know what I mean? To stay within kind of the range we're looking for.
None of them are $25,000.
No, of course not.
Can I ask a question? Are
Let-
any
let
of
me-
those
let me-
are they all in the same neighborhood?
No.
No,
Okay.
they're scattered around town.
Well, Pine,
They're
Forest Pine, and
kind
Jones.
of, some of them are
Different
kind of
Forest
close
Pines,
to each
Jones,
other.
They're all either right there or the town line roads.
Town line.
Yep.
So the mobilization
That's
is,
we're talking about mobilization.
the town line, from what I understand, really has to be done.
It's awful.
It's,
It's awful.
we
And
get
It's almost
calls.
all the
impossible.
time, I fly through there. I have
It's,
no problem with East Madison or
Guys,
Belmont.
Donna has a question. Yeah.
Joe, did you visit East Shore Drive?
No, I did the list that Josh gave me.
Well, East
that's
Shore
what-
Drive is on this.
It's red.
That wasn't on the list.
It wasn't on the
What-
super hybrid.
It wasn't on the first cut that I got from the DPW.
Linda, what were you
I
saying?
walk that road all the time, and I don't know much about roads, I just can share my observations with you. And I'm surprised to see it colored red. It has some sections that need cold patch.
Again, we don't know what the
Yeah, I don't know
criteria
what the
is,
criteria
so I
is, yeah.
can't make any judgment based on
And I'm
whether it's
just
red,
sharing-
green, or yellow.
I'm just sharing my observations without making any judgments. I don't know
I-
anything about roads, but I walk it, and
Right,
I'm
so
surprised to see it colored red.
Yeah, she has a question, then I have a question.
can I finish my point
I'm sorry.
first?
Yeah, you can,
My point back to your original question, what can we do for $325,000? Please do me a favor, take a look at the quote that was provided on the back of that analysis.
I did.
They are presumed to be in priority order. What is the last one? What is that priority order? What is the last one, and how much does it cost to do that? Because if we can only do that, if there's
Town
four
line.
on the, town line is the bottom of that one, is on the, and they're saying it's how much?
80.
Yes, we can't go by any of the costs on this because they're saying 80 and this says 39.
Oh, I'd base it on the R&D quote that Josh got.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, that's
The more
what-
recent quote.
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So you can't go
We
by
can't go by
this,
those numbers,
by
no.
these numbers at all.
And town line is actually, so everything else is 98.75, as in the spreadsheet. Town line for some reason was more expensive at 111.75 per ton.
Town line, I think, they have to like grind it right down to the base. I mean, it needs to be rebuilt.
Are these numbers obsolete? Is that
I'm
what
not
you're
sure.
saying?
I don't
I don't know
I
how they
don't-
were generated, yeah.
I don't know.
Well, from 39 to 80, that's a.
No.
Quite a
that's because
jump.
the cost of fuel went up in the last 4 years, so everything doubled and
This
tripled.
says
January 14th, 2025.
January 14th, 25.
But I don't know when, that January 14th, 2025 prints out the minute you print this. It has nothing to do with whether or not anything on
I don't know
this-
how this data was calculated, yeah.
So, go ahead, Ron.
Okay, what I'd like to ask, and hopefully the DPW can provide it, because we're talking about actual costs and we're not sure. I would like to know, of all the roads we have in town, and based upon, if we were to maintain those roads, let's say, for hypothetical purposes, over a 10-year period, what is the total cost of all of our roads over a 10-year period? And then if we look at that actual number, realizing it's today's costs, we'll have to put an inflation factor in there, divide it by 10, and just see where that comes out. If it comes out to 400,000, I'm willing to jump to 400,000. But if it doesn't, I'm not.
Mhm.
So you know what I'm saying? So if we look at all of our roads, because we really need to look at the big picture here. We're looking at just one piece of the puzzle. This is the largest warrant article we have in the entire town. This one article, right here, okay? So it's very important in our towns. We drive them. Everybody loves good roads. I love good roads. But let's have a plan and let's make it so it's affordable to the taxpayer. So can we get, at some point in the near future, a total cost of all of our roads?
Let me counter that.
Okay.
That works all well and good when your roads are all in decent condition. But when you have roads that are red,
No.
you can't get a 10-year average because you have to bring them up to a certain standard and then you can maintain.
It gives you an index to look at, and I understand what you're saying, but at least it gives you a starting point in the conversation.
Right.
Over a 10-year period. You may have some years, you might have 6 roads the one year that's a red, the next year you may have 8, the next year you may have 3, so it really varies. But I think we need to see the big picture, which we don't have right now.
Well, this would tell you if you were to
If
use
it's
this.
accurate.
If it's accurate.
If it's accurate.
3.5 million
Divided
over
by
10 years is
10,
$350,000.
$350K a year.
Bingo.
But that's not accurate.
But these numbers aren't there. These numbers aren't there.
These aren't,
What we need a plan, what are we gonna do for the warrant article this year? You know, I think 325 is Ron and Rick, that's probably a fair number.
Well, I
right?
wanna, so
Between
it was
affordability and what we can actually pay, right? You know, it's a balance, right?
Right, it's a
It's a give and take. You know, we only have several weeks to kind of pull this, you
no,
know,
we literally have,
for the DPW,
we
everybody
have to
to
vote on
come
the
up with a
11th.
plan, that's what I'm saying.
We have to
What
vote
are
on
we
the
gonna do,
11th,
right?
which means we need that information
Yeah,
before the
so,
11th.
We do know that we had the 6 or so priority roads. I think we need to go back to the DPW, go, okay, here, we're looking at 3.25. Out of those, what can you do? You know, what are we getting for 325 out on the red roads?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, but
just for
also
this year.
too, I really believe that if the state really has a 10-year plan, they have a good reason for it. And if we look at all of our roads over a 10-year plan, I think it's a great way to manage long-term.
I
It
agree,
is, it
long
is.
term it
Okay,
is,
but
but to,
long-term,
but to
so-
solve the problem we face today, I don't know that can be done at $325,000. I don't know that it can. Again, because we don't have updated information. So, yeah, Rick, I'm gonna let someone in the audience, Linda Faber.
Linda had a
She's
question.
had her arm up for
It's
like 10
really a
minutes.
comment. It's just a comment.
Okay.
It's not, I'm not questioning anything. First of all, I wanna say I have complete faith and trust the DPW guys. I know they know what they're doing, and I'm sure that $500,000 is needed. I'm also sure I, as a taxpayer, can't afford that. So, I also wanna thank them and appreciate the fact that they've dropped it back to 400,000. I want them to get credit for doing that. I believe we don't, like, it seems like we don't have the data that we need. I'm in support of Ron and Joe's suggestion of just for this year, doing the 325. As a taxpayer, you might wanna decide it on your own and not listen, but, just for this year, and then, you seems like you have the priority down, it's just you don't know how the costs.
I don't know that we have the priority down.
And
We
then
just have red, green, and yellow.
So start with, have them say, okay, these are the ones that have to, start this year with those, and then maybe the next year we need to budget more, I don't know. It just seems like we're asking everybody to cut back. And again, I want them to get credit, because they already did cut back. But, things are tough out there for us retired folks, so I just wanted to comment, I'm done.
Okay,
I work and my income's going down 4 years in a row.
all right. Joy, do you have anything, because got your,
Joy's running numbers and
Right,
stuff over
right.
there, yeah.
I am. Yeah, the way they calculate it is tons needed for shim and tons needed for overlay, and that's where that dollar amount came from. And that 98.75 is per ton. So, for example, Forest Pines, they would do a 1.5 inch overlay, and they estimated 580 tons, or excuse me, 1,160 tons for the 1.5 inch overlay, and then another 580 tons for the shim. So anyway, that's the math that gets to the numbers that I wrote in.
right.
So the
So-
numbers, so.
Again, then, looking at this, somehow this has to get some level of a priority with the DPW to update it, really take a good look at it, because when you look at Forest Pine Road on here, there's nowhere where, does it say anything, it's 0 for overlay at 1.5 inches. The overlay is in 2 inches. So, again, I don't know when the last time.
Can I offer something?
Sure.
You know, you're working off estimates from a paving company. When you put out a detailed bid, depending on the economic situation, you may do much better than that. So I think you need to be careful about how you're approaching this. The estimate is just that, it's an estimate.
Right, but the estimate gives us something to go from a budget perspective. You know, it'll get fine tuned. It may come in less, it could come in more, hopefully not. But the issue is, you know, you've got to have something to use for budgeting purposes, and this is the best that's the best tool they can get, I suppose.
We did ask, when I did that study,
Yeah.
for 3 competing bids from, different road paving companies, to get accurate, best value. I'm
Right.
looking for best value,
So,
so.
all right, so I don't know that we can make any decisions
No.
tonight with
No.
regard to this. I don't know the best avenue to get the answers that we want or need.
Joy, are you comfortable with what we've asked you for information?
Well, it was,
Are you clear on that?
so, obviously it was 500 to start, which was twice what it was last year and
Right, yeah.
more, the year before that was 200. So, it was cut back, okay, can we lay off Mooney Hill? Okay, we can delay that at least another year. So we cut it down to 400. So, the question is, yes, what can we afford, but also what can we afford to keep driving on? And that's a decision, that's a question that needs to be asked, is what can we afford to still be a mess for another year?
What are the prioritize, what's the worst road? I think we've all seen Town Line is, you know what I mean, but we need to.
If this was
Okay,
in
yeah,
priority,
yeah.
it now.
We need a priority
Priority,
of
all
what
right.
we can afford
1
this
through
year.
whatever.
Yeah, 1 through 5 roads
yeah,
this year,
I agree.
yeah.
So, I think Sharon said that the paving estimate was an order of priority?
It was my understanding, I could be very wrong on that, all right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think we have to ask that question.
So within the 6, what are the priorities within the 6? Mooney Hill, we've already made priority number 6, so then we have 5 more that we have to look, that we ask the DPW to prioritize within the 5. I think that's all we can ask.
I think that's.
Yeah, that's, I think, what the best we can do right now is,
Okay,
Do you want me to reach out, Linda, or do you wanna?
I think, Ricky, you have a comment?
What's that?
Yeah, I
You know, if you'll
just
see him then.
also wanna just caution
Might be a
everybody,
while.
when you're talking about Town Line Road, apparently that's in desperate condition. Keep in mind that before they pave the road, there's a lot of other work that's done underground, culverts, all that work. So this, and on top of the 325,000 or whatever we agree to, we have a lot of money invested in trying to do all that underground work before we pave it.
well, that should be in the cost of maintaining the road. I mean, those things shouldn't be extras or add-ons. When somebody comes, the selectmen come to the DPW and say, how much does it cost to maintain this road? All of those pieces should be in there.
I'm not suggesting that. I understand that. But I want everybody else to just focus on the fact that if you're gonna pave the road, you're gonna put in new culverts, you're gonna do all the drainage, all those things in advance. So there's another expense, whether it's, people who are working for the town anyway, or otherwise, in addition to the paving.
So we have a budget line for road improvements. Presumably, all other things fall under,
Culverts,
no, culverts is its own budget line as well.
The gravel road maintenance, does that fall under that line item? Cleaning the ditches out, kind of regrading it twice a year. I'm not sure where that falls under the DPW budget.
There is a line for gravel. There's a separate line for calcium, cold patch, contract services. There is a line for culverts, there is a line for gravel, and there is a line for road improvements. In addition to the other ones we've already talked about in terms of repairs and parts and motor. So,
in the 2025 budget request, do we know what those lines are? Approximately, we don't have to get. What did I do with it?
I saw it in there.
road improvement is held at 50,000. Gravel has
How much did we
held-
spend this year?
41,676. $42,000 out of 50K.
In culverts, there's a $6,000 budget, 4,500 was spent. And gravel, there's a $25,000 budget, about 21,500 was spent.
All right, so they've budgeted fairly well on,
For the gravel road maintenance stuff.
no, that's not necessarily gravel road, it's just gravel,
The materials.
The materials
Materials,
for-
yeah,
for
they were pretty
all the
good on that,
roads.
yeah.
yeah. So, oh, here it is. So presumably, they're looking at those roads and understand what work may have to be done before you can just pave it. And I have to believe, and we can ask the question, when you look at these priorities and these costs, do you have a handle? Do those costs fit into your budget for having to do any rework on these roads before we pave them? Yes, Donna.
There seems to be a whole lot of time and energy on this issue. Department heads invited to come have conversations with the budget committee, or is it just the selectmen? This is crazy, what you're doing.
Yes, it is. And they are.
So, do department heads come and have conversations with the budget committee?
If they don't
Or is it it's just the selectmen's meeting?
If the head of the department, if the department head's not available, sometimes they'll send us information and answers to the questions. Like the chief of police wasn't available, so he sent information to us that we could take a look at and read
But
through.
apparently you need a back and forth. Like my 4-year-old grandson would say, you guys are talking in circles.
I like this kid.
Yes, and we understand that. We do.
I feel bad for you. You can't make a decision.
All right, so the two,
You're right.
sorry,
No, that's okay.
the two asks are priority ones, and then what additional DPW work would be required prior to repaving. So prioritize the priority ones, and then what additional work is required, and that's it?
What additional road work to those
Is required by the DPW prior to.
before we can get to paving? Yes.
And
Ron.
validate the information on this
We're not-
sheet.
I was gonna say, we're not getting.
We don't know what those
Yes, we
numbers
should
are.
ask
Yeah.
that, but I have no hope that they have time to do that
Yeah.
before we, but hopefully they start
But
working on it.
If you could at least give us a wag that this is close, maybe? Because right now, we are gonna be making a decision on information that's not accurate, potentially not accurate.
Correct.
And that's not good. So, and again, this is a huge warrant article.
The
It is a
concern-
large warrant
I
article.
think the
Linda, do you
concern is Ron's bringing
Do you
up,
know who-
you know,
Owns, updates the spreadsheet itself?
This one?
Yeah,
Josh,
okay, he's got the Excel and he plugs the numbers and stuff? Okay. I think it's just a matter of plugging in the numbers provided by R&D
Right, I
for
agree.
shim
Yes.
and overlay.
Yep.
that's the
I
most
think-
recent numbers we
Right,
have.
I
but
agree.
that's for 5 roads.
Right, the 6 rows.
All these others, or 6 roads,
Yep.
all these others need, so.
Which, yeah.
Again, not gonna happen before.
No, I'm just saying that would bring those 6 roads up to current in alignment with the thing.
See you,
As
Donna.
if I think
Good
if just
night.
those columns, good night, Donna. If those columns were updated with what was in that, bam, you'd be looking at the right numbers for those things, that's all.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I think we gotta go back to Rick's comments too, you know, the R&D is an estimate, we don't know what actual bids are gonna be.
No,
Right.
but
They
we
could
have
come
to-
in higher or lower.
Again, we
I
have
would
to,
caution you not to say the numbers on the TV if you're
Yeah.
gonna take bids, or the names of companies.
Yeah, that's true,
Ah.
yeah, that's right.
I just to interject.
Oh, they
I
are?
think the
Okay.
bid,
But that's,
the
that
bid,
requires digging.
a detailed bid is gonna depend on the economy at the time.
correct.
These guys are looking out probably 6-8 months. Right now, they're looking at next year,
It's
obviously.
spring, they're looking at spring.
So I think it's the economic situation that they're facing, and there's a lot of issues. Convenience you know, they're doing, say, for example, they're doing Wheels of Freedom, it's easy to move to Madison, those kinds of things. So I think the bid process, a detailed bid process, will reveal a lot of things, and quite possibly, given the economy, some reduced numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not. So it's always, you have to throw that in, maybe not.
Maybe not, right.
All right,
So
so,
it's, for us, it's what you're laying out front, and the impact on tax rate. So I think that's where we need to be focused.
do we have a plan to get us
She's
through
gonna
the next 2 weeks?
She's
Yeah.
gonna ask those questions.
To prioritize within the priority ones, is other DPW work required prior to somebody coming in and beginning the repaving? And then, if there's time, just somehow get the actual estimates in here, whether it's updating the shim tons based on the shim tons that were estimated in the estimate, so, which is the lower of the priorities, but it would give us, those numbers would be updated.
Okay.
Okay?
And then hopefully we get them. Well, Linda obviously would get them first, and then she can distribute them to us. And as soon as we get them, we'll have them distributed to the ABC so that we can take a look at it, so we can have the conversation at the next time that we get together,
So
which
looking
is February 11th.
an hour before the budget hearing starts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can meet before that meeting.
Yeah.
We can meet before the first meeting. So we have 3 meetings that night.
There you go. Yeah. We have the road meeting
Okay.
before the.
We can
pre-
vote meet before the SB2, which
Yeah.
is before the
The
public
budget
hearing.
meeting, public hearing.
Right, you missed that part. We have there's a 6 o'clock meeting,
Of,
the
School board.
school
School
board,
board.
before the 7 o'clock public hearing.
I
The
can't be
11th.
there at 5, but.
So
on the 11th.
On the 11th.
6
o'clock.
o'clock meeting where?
There's a
The
6
purpose is
o'clock
it-
meeting.
It's a public hearing for SB2.
Linda's looking
just
like, wait,
SB2.
is that right?
Strictly SB2.
There's a 6
No money.
o'clock meeting with the.
is that the right
for
day to have it?
That's what
Yes,
this-
because it needs to be on, so we can have it
Hang on.
for the article. So we need to we need to have the meeting
You can drop
15
it to
days
me in
before
email.
the
Yeah.
voting. So yes, we need to have it.
But it's not
That night?
But it's not money, right? It's just whether it's silly, but it's what it is. So.
Can it happen Wednesday?
I can't be there on Wednesday. I'm going to Florida.
Nice.
I might go on Tuesday at this point. Just kidding.
Okay, so I'll email you what the 6 o'clock is about. So the question is then, meeting before the 6 o'clock, or
I could
on
zoom
a
in if you
different
really
day.
wanted to.
So 6 PM, school SB2 hearing.
Correct.
7 PM,
Right.
budget, town
Budget.
budget
Right.
hearing.
Town public meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're gonna spend so much time together.
Do we think,
guys.
do we
So
think the
lucky.
SB2 hearing is only gonna take an hour?
Yes.
That's all they got.
Okay.
Right.
That's all we got is an hour.
It's just
Right.
giving information about it is all that.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're talking about the pros and cons of
And deciding.
SB2 versus non-SB2.
Yep.
And
Um,
people get to discuss.
So
it.
the question is, can the rest of us meet at 5 o'clock
On the 11th?
on the 11th? And because it would be a meeting, we have to have Madison Peg, Madison TV. Would they be available to do it
On the 11th,
Yeah.
on the 11th,
what time?
starting at 5, from 5 to
5 p.m.
6?
We're already there.
Well, technically, they're gonna be
We're
there for
already
the
there
other
for-
areas.
They're gonna be there
Will you
anyway.
be here?
No,
No, at the
it'll be
school.
at school.
At school.
Linda, are you available? Do we get to have pizzas if we're gonna be at school all night?
Right?
So the school usually meets, I know that, I remember, they usually meet an
At
hour
6,
before
correct.
at the library.
Correct.
And then we are set up
In the gym, and then we
in the
move
gym.
down, yep, at 7. But no, we're gonna be there. Well, no, you're talking the deliberative anyways, so we're gonna be there at 6 in the gym as well.
On the 11th.
So you will be in the gym, not in the.
Correct, it's not a school board meeting, it's just like
An information meeting.
informational thing about
Yeah,
SB2.
Everybody's in the gym from 5 o'clock
Everybody will
on.
be in the gym.
From 5
Correct.
o'clock on.
Everybody in the gym all night, yep, all 3 meetings.
Bring your sleeping bag.
And then,
No, bring your supper.
assuming
the school's free.
yeah, assuming that we have.
After school program's out.
Yeah, one of us probably can come in early. Now, Sarah, are you sure it's not in the library?
Yes.
Because we always had to set up 2 cameras and do one in the library and then move on to the.
No, it's gonna be in the gym.
I remember them
Then
saying
I
they were
don't-
gonna do it off to the side in
Yeah,
case it
in
ran
case
over
it run
minutes,
over,
yeah.
right, yeah, it'll be in the gym.
Yeah, then I don't see.
Cause
why
this is
not,
a
as
new
long as
thing,
we
this
have-
is not like something that we normally would do.
Yeah, as long as we have someone that can come that hour early, I will be there later. Yeah, I think we can make it work.
Okay.
All right, so we're doing 5 PM ABC, 6 PM school SB2 hearing, and 7 PM town budget hearing.
Right, we do still have to check with the school to make sure it's available at 5 o'clock, that they don't have basketball practice or
Obviously,
something.
They would have to get in there before 5 o'clock to set up,
Set up anyway.
Right.
if you're gonna have a meeting at 5
Yeah.
o'clock.
Yeah.
Typically.
It may be after school activities or
Yeah,
something.
then we-
Sarah, can you check with Heather for me?
Yeah, I have the
Please.
basketball schedule somewhere here.
Yeah,
Let me
just
just-
say after school activities or something.
Do you have both teams?
Yeah.
No, the boys and girls teams would be
Okay.
separate.
I mean, there's enough videographers, you can still have your meeting here at 5.
True.
I mean, you know, it's also, if there's a videographer free, because I can't imagine all the videographers would be over there at that same night.
Does that make sense? To have it here at 5, as opposed to over there at 5?
Then we go screeching in on 2 wheels over there at 6, for 6.
Right. I know, and the thing that's
When is it, the
following us is the
12th?
information meeting on SB2.
It looks like we're good on the 11th. For now, I'll just talk to her.
I actually just texted
Heather?
Heather.
Okay, I was just gonna do that now. Okay, you guys have about 15 minutes left
Right.
till 8:30. Just
Um,
keeping you in line here.
Yes, I know. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I seriously need it some days.
And the 6 o'clock, that one you guys want,
Yes, sure.
change as well?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, that one's school, but
Yeah.
school SB2, yeah.
I mean, if you want to. I don't, whatever. People might be interested in watching that.
Okay, so we're done with the road priorities.
Yep.
We have 15 minutes. We've partially talked about the updated CIP.
Yes.
So, is there anything to add to it that has been updated, changed, maneuvered?
I think, I mentioned, but didn't provide physically updated ones, but I mentioned, the DPW significant update.
Do you talk about the CIP now?
Yes.
There was one significant update to it from the DPW, and that was that, they need a chipper, they need a new chipper, high priority. And they're, estimating a $90,000 purchase price. So, folks and select board, are just asking for, kind of rule of threes, 3 estimates, and how much do we use it, can we rent it, how much would it cost to rent, all the usual stuff.
Yeah.
Starting in what year?
They didn't provide a year.
They didn't provide a year?
Nope.
So before, yeah, I would think before there's any kind of, real discussion as to buying a new chipper, all the alternatives need to be looked at. And so I'm in favor of the selectmen getting a robust analysis from DPW regarding, what kind of chipper, what's its capabilities, is it equal to the chipper or has to be better than the chipper because of OSHA regulation changes, any of those kinds of things. What's the justification and rationalization for purchasing, leasing a new chipper versus contracting out chipping or leasing a chipper and we do it. I mean, maybe there's a chipping company out there, a Splenda, the tree company. Maybe they'll contract and they just come.
Coleman's has shippers for rent.
Yeah.
They're right there.
Oh, I don't doubt that there are. I just,
Well, they don't
what's the,
rate.
what's the cost?
MB
and-
rents them too.
Right, what's the cost and how often do we need it? Apparently, only about, how many hours of chipping do we do?
Yep, yeah,
Some-
just on a very basic level, when do we need it? How much do we use it? And that helps us analyze buy versus rent. And in either case, I always follow a rule of threes, we get three costs, three estimates,
Right.
three whatever.
Yeah. Cause
Okay.
$90,000 for a chipper that's a lot of money.
That's a big chipper.
I understand that,
Yep.
I get it.
So-
And you need sort of an industrial strength chipper if you're doing, lots of chipping, but I don't know that we do.
Not me either.
So, okay, anything else on the CIP?
Can I just interject something?
Absolutely.
The highway department vehicle fleet document that we received,
Yes,
outlining the trucks, that is one of the finest, works that I have seen in a long time. It's very, informative, I read it, I'm very comfortable with it, and whoever did it did an awesome job.
I think Josh, I'm sure Josh had help from
Probably Dave.
Dave.
Dave
yeah.
is the truck guy.
Yep. It is, and Josh had provided
very-
one months
very good work.
ago. Yep,
Very informative, it really answers a lot of questions, it's easy to follow and understand. Thank you.
agreed. And one was provided, this isn't even the first one, one was provided equally helpful and informative, months ago.
6 months ago,
6 months ago,
remember, we
and so
got
this
the
is-
initial cut, yeah.
Yep, so this
Yeah.
is an update of that,
This is a
so
new one.
ongoing work is good.
Okay.
The grader's not on here, though? Did I miss it somewhere? I mean, we have it, it's in-house. It should be on here. Excavator, backhoe,
Oh.
front-end loader, John Deere.
Oh, here, so they put the years of replacement in here, I'll put that in the CIP,
Okay,
perfect. I missed that before,
yeah, so,
awesome. This is so good, this is so helpful.
Yeah.
Even more helpful than I thought.
yeah, we just need them to add the grader. All right, we have 10 minutes. We're not gonna get to everything. What do you guys, what do you think is the most significant? You wanna look at the budget or you wanna look at warrants?
I put together the charitable warrant,
Okay,
quick little summary, Linda sent it out today.
Oops,
Or
I was
sent the
gonna say-
pack, sorry.
and that is something we haven't looked at before. It's
Can I
this
ask a
one.
question real quick before we dive? It's just a general question for Linda, actually, administrative procedural question. For like the charitable warrants, can the select board, like, does the select board typically just put the charitable warrants on, or do they request a petition to put them on?
Charitables always go on by petition.
By petition, okay.
So it's third.
All right, I didn't know
Oh,
if we
I
just
typed it.
kept it on, but just asked for a number.
So I said draft.
What's that?
I didn't know if like we kept them on and then just contacted the
No,
places.
we don't
and
reach
said-
out, they reach out to us, it's all, yeah, no,
But even if they reach out, it's always by petition.
correct.
Okay,
It's typically how the selectmen require it to be done.
got it, okay, thank you.
This is, the last budget meeting, I was tasked with working with Linda, just kind of pulled the charitable warrant articles together. And, this is the draft version 1.0 that I've worked on the last couple days. We do have some new, requests this year. Again, it comes in by, they sent a letter of intent to Linda saying, hey, we want $3,000 from the town of Madison, for use at, our program here. Then petitions circulated around town. I know there's some at the library, some at Community Market, that type of thing. And we needed 25 registered Madison voters. But we we told them get at least 30, because people sign the petition and they're not registered, you know, may not even live in town.
They have a house here,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
they're
but
not,
they're not,
they're
so-
not.
I
full-time
put the list
resident.
together. Ned had started this several years ago, Ned Rogerson. So I just updated it for this year. We're still waiting on some petitions and financial information from some of the charities, and it's due February 4th. So I'll update the sheet as it comes in.
So in terms of the do we request financials from
Yes,
them
we
as
do.
well?
Yes.
Yes,
So they have to do petition and present financials?
financials,
Mhm.
yes. And I
And a
also,
report of like what benefit.
I also go back and like, I reached out Way Station this week. They're brand new this year, and I know what they do there. They support the unhoused, they provide, there's people living in cars that
Blankets
they assist, that. They don't run a shelter, but they provide support services.
Do we make that available to people? I mean, these always pass and as a group, but I just didn't know if folks ever asked for those reports. I mean, I know obviously we keep it for our
I'm
records.
sorry, what do you mean, ask for those
Like,
reports?
would someone say, okay, could someone share the starting point financial report that they gave to the town?
I guess, I mean,
Yeah,
they
it's
send
on
it in.
file with the
yeah.
town,
It's
yeah.
on file. Linda sent me copies of what we have so far.
Does anybody ever ask for it?
Like,
No.
At town meeting, they
Yeah.
do sometimes.
So-
Yeah, town meeting, they talk about it.
yeah, typically that's kind of like the idea of what this is for.
Yeah.
But
Do we
I'm
have to
gonna
have-
try to do a little summary for each one and kind of their financials, you know, make sure they're up to date, that kind of thing. It is an increase this year. Looks like
Yeah.
about 34K versus 26 or so.
Almost
for last year.
10,000,
Yeah.
8,000.
Yeah. So there are some additional services that are requesting money.
What happens if we don't? Like, these come in as, you know, basically 34,000. What if somebody decides they don't want, I'm gonna pick on Ossipee Children's Fund because it's kinda in the middle. No, we should only give them 1,250. Can we, do we,
You can amend it on the floor.
okay, and we can singularly amend each one of
Oh,
them if
sure.
we
Yeah.
want.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Typically though, they seem to group them each year, they just say, okay, let's take
Right.
numbers, 23 through.
Yeah.
Usually after the third hour of.
The third hour of the town meeting,
They
yeah.
say, can we just group these together?
But,
And typically they get past.
It
this
should make
point.
it clear, though, the numbers that I have on here, you know, for Tri-Cab, Gibson, they come in with those numbers.
Yeah.
I don't.
He doesn't
plug-
make-
I don't
Yeah.
plug numbers.
No,
I-
this is their
This
request.
is their letter of intent
Right.
where they ask for the funding. So that's their actual funding. What I'd like to see is, and I called Linda several times the last couple of days, how many Madison residents, what's the impact? And I think I forget the one I asked her about, you know, they were providing scholarships for a
Ossipee
camp.
Children's Fund.
And I'm like, wait a minute, we have a rec program in Madison that we're supporting as well, right?
Well, so-
Is there a duplication of effort there?
Finished.
No.
So, okay,
I can explain it to you.
okay. That's-
Linda and I can both explain to you probably pretty well. So we had, Ossipee Children's Fund supported kids going to summer camp for $5,995 or something like that. So almost $6,000. Ossipee Children's Fund gave to our community to send supported families to go to rec. So they are really only asking for $2,500 back to be able to continue their efforts.
And we didn't fund them last year either. This is, I think, the
This is
first year.
their first request.
Yeah,
No,
this
this
is
is-
their first request.
This is
Yeah.
their first request
Yeah.
of Madison to provide some charitable support to
So
them.
we did get $6,000
Yes.
in scholarship money for Madison residents.
Yes.
Okay.
You might wanna put that in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking, I'll
Yeah,
update my sheet.
Approximately 6K last year.
Yeah, I'm just kind of looking at what's the impact, right?
Yep.
That-
They've supported the kids at least 2 of the past 3 years, possibly
Okay.
3, but I think
All right.
2 of the past 3 years. And again, I think that's probably at least 10 kids went to camp.
Okay, no,
Because
that's
of
good to
Ossipee
know,
Children's
because
Fund.
I didn't understand their mission or the support they provided. Some of these are no-brainers, you know, Gibson Center, their Meals on Wheels, you know, they support a lot of Madison residents, they're out there delivering meals every day, you know, and it's a lot of bang for the buck, right? You know, and I think they're good. Same with like the White Mountain Community Health.
Tri-Cap
They
is huge.
and Tri-Cap is huge with the low-income fuel assistance and things like that. So I mean.
They're all very important.
They're all very worthy, I think, you know, important organizations. But I just wanted to make sure we understood the numbers and, you know, that kind of thing. So I'll finish out you know, this is, we get the final paperwork in from the different organizations.
Thank you,
Okay.
good work, work, Linda. You guys are good.
I don't know if you talked to these guys, but you probably would need to impress upon the Family Resource Center at Children Unlimited that, I mean, it looks like we haven't really gotten any data from them or anything since FY 2021.
Oh, I've been emailing them and calling them, and, yeah, so. Now, they have to, again, February 4th to get us, you know, their finals, so.
And each one of these organizations has reached out to us to say, and submitted their, at least the dollar amount that they were looking
Yes,
for,
the
right?
letter of intent, if you go to the end
The
of the
le-
warrant there, it says,
Yeah.
I'm separated.
Yeah, I don't have those comments on there. I probably should have color coded the ones that still owe us, like that.
Actually, Starting Point came in today and Way Station
Came in today, yeah.
But they have to be still approved by the supervisors for signatures.
Yeah, so, but,
Okay.
I'll just, you know, for the next meetings, I'll just update it as
So-
the information comes in.
So those are those
Yeah,
24 through 31. right?
31,
The
yeah.
numbers are gonna change, but.
I had a typo on there, I had 2 number 30s or something when I cut and pasted it over.
Okay. It is 8:26. Unless we have something that we can discuss in the next 4 minutes? Anyone?
I
Yes?
think I did more reconciliation on the rec revenue last night today to really get nitty gritty, but we are at $32,000 in rec department revenue through fees and fundraising and donations.
Okay, so that revenue sheet.
So they just get a note that it's still final numbers pending, I think.
So this is the summer camp or sports, that's the summer camp numbers, right?
All totaled is about 32,000.
32?
Yep,
So we're up to 32K there.
yep.
Okay. And everything else, I presume, is signed, sealed, delivered for the year with regard to revenues?
For the most part, yeah, of
Yeah.
anything we've received, yes. Like
Yeah.
I say, this is just an estimated sheet.
1.3 mil. All right. Anything else then? Well, if there's nothing else, so we are not meeting in between now and the 11th? Yes, no, maybe?
Unless something comes up, I think we're good.
I think,
I think folks will either be attending or tuning into the
Wait to hear
select
whether
board
it's at
meeting.
the school or here, right,
for the 11th?
on the 11th.
It's definitely at the school, isn't it?
No, at 5
means
o'clock.
the
Oh, the 5 o'clock.
5
Yeah.
o'clock.
5 o'clock is up in the air at this point.
Well, you had sent a text to Heather
Did she
just to make
answer you?
sure,
Oh, I put
Just
my
to
phone
make
on
So
silent.
school was available.
just to
Put my
make
phone
sure
on
school's
silent, I didn't
available.
check. Let's see, rec is not using the gym at all on Tuesday, February 11th.
Okay, so, we're okay to use it?
Unless
We
the
still have to
school
check, we
has
have to check
something,
with,
but I'm
with
sure
the
With the-
school.
Yeah,
After-school program, where do they meet?
they have a room. Yeah,
okay,
they do
And
sometimes like to use the
We
gym.
will need a little extra time to set everything up.
so 4:30?
Yeah, even
Four.
4
I
would
usually
be
give them an
great.
Okay.
hour.
So-
I'll let Heather know tomorrow if you want.
4 to 6, yeah,
Or-
please,
I will.
and Holly, is it? Who's the-
Correct.
In
I'll
the
put
front
in my
office
notes
to
here so
put
I
it,
don't
yeah.
forget.
All right, so Sarah to check
Yep.
availability.
You want me to do that? Cause I have to fill out a form to request the
Sure.
building, so.
Oh, all
Are
right.
you sure?
Linda,
Thanks, Linda.
thank you, Linda.
Cover
All right.
my-
Anything else?
Can't do another
Right.
Is,
Go ahead.
no, just wondering, Linda, if there's an updated ETF summary report. The last one I have is 2 months ago.
No, I didn't do one that wasn't in the agenda, but I don't think there's anything that's, the only thing was we paid off the charity. Is that what you, ETF?
Yeah, like the
Oh,
assessing,
yeah, all right, some of them had landed on here if we already had
Okay, yeah.
And then there were some that, yeah, I do have a balance from Kathy, but they're on that paper that Kathy gave me, not anywhere.
All right, I'll see if there's anything that's different. I love that you have that one, you have that little.
Can we make that sort of a standing? I know.
It's kind of over now, isn't it?
Well, no, but I mean for next year, like, you know, at least once a month that we get the report of, you know, of those. It's not really a drawdown, it's just the reimbursables, right?
Well, it is just a summary, it's
It's
just
just a, yeah.
not even like,
Well, the thing is with ETFs, they get funded in
March.
August.
August,
No,
yeah.
we wait till we get the tax bill, we wait till
Okay.
we get the first tax bill, so generally like the land in August is when they get funded from what is voted on in March.
Right,
And then the only time that any money comes out of them is if the selectmen approve it.
right.
So I generally don't pester Kathy every month for 3 cents in interest and 2 cents in interest, you know what I mean, to give me updates all the time. So really, the only time that anything would change would pretty much be August, or we don't ever really ask for anything until later in the year, typically. But,
Okay.
so, whatever, I'll get on it.
And I'm happy if you just send in, you know, if we put it on a list of, you know, we look at number 13 is ETFs, and in the agenda you say no change. I'm fine with that, and then we don't need a new, you know, a new sheet. No sense printing something that hasn't changed. Does that make sense? Okay? All right. It is 8:31.
Make a motion to adjourn.
second,
Second. All in favor?
All in favor? Roll call. We have to roll call vote.
Oh.
Sarah.
Yes.
Joe.
Oh, Rick?
Thank you.
Yes.
Joe.
Yes, yes.
Sharon, yes. Ron.
Yes.
Joy,
Joe,
yes.
Okay. We're adjourned.
All right, Rick, I'm gonna try to figure out how to hang this phone up.